And from this moment on, not use oil or not use gas or not use hydrogen is just not rational.
Fox's Simon Owens live in Glasgow.
But Dave, more than 100 world leaders are expected here, and some are issuing stark warnings.
If we go business as usual, countries like the Maldives will be uninhabitable.
Shauna Aminat, the Environment Minister of the Maldives in the Indian Ocean, told us President Biden should lead on climate, even if other countries like China don't follow.
The benchmark shouldn't be what another country does.
She said much of the Maldives is shrinking under rising sea levels. Dave?
Simon, back in Washington, President Biden hopes Democrats can unite and vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill and nearly $2 trillion in social spending. All Republicans oppose. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell tells Fox,
I think we're going to get it done. There's been a lot of hard work, a lot of discussion, a lot of people listening to each other, and hopefully we will get this done.
But progressives have held up the votes. Unhappy some spending has been cut back. The world's just hit another milestone in the pandemic. 5 million COVID deaths, nearly 750,000 here in the U.S., where COVID cases declined a sixth straight week after a Delta variant surge. Today in New York City, a COVID vaccine mandate takes effect. The New York Post reports more than 20,000 cops and firefighters and other municipal workers have not gotten a shot and will be put on unpaid leave. The fight to scrap the Texas abortion law reaches the Supreme Court again today.
The justices will hear arguments over a Texas law banning most abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. The dispute today, however, is likely to be procedural, focusing on whether the federal government can challenge the unique enforcement mechanism of the law.
Fox's Jared Halpern. America's listening to Fox News.
Big news from Simply Safe Home Security. Okay. Actually, I think the horns are too much. That's better. Big news. The new wireless outdoor security camera is here. Yes, Simply Safe's award-winning home security just got even better, taking whole home protection to a whole new level. Okay, I'm missing the horns. Simply Safe is celebrating this new camera with 30% off a new system this week. Visit simplysafe.com.
Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year has arrived. Step up your vision with top tech up to 45% off during their early access Black Friday event. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Plus, get incredible savings on Windows 11 PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping. There's also special financing with Dell Business Credit. Get started by contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It's 6:03, 42 in Columbia. It's 40 degrees in Jefferson City. Cloudy skies, rain likely in the afternoon. Our high 47. It's going to be chilly. Make sure you bundle up today. Tonight, a chance of rain, then mostly cloudy, a low near 34. And the outlook for tomorrow, sunny with a high of 50. Good morning, everyone. I'm Brian Hauswirth. 125 potential jurors will be called to the Boone County Courthouse in downtown Columbia in a few hours this morning as jury selection begins in Joseph Elledge's murder trial. The 26-year-old Elledge is charged with first-degree murder for the 2019 death of his wife, Mungshi Ji. Her remains were found in Rockbridge State Park earlier this year. COVID issues are a concern for the judge in this case. His name is Brooke Jacobs. Judge Jacobs announced in open court Friday that any potential jurors who are sneezing or are sick will be turned away this morning at the courthouse door. The county has installed plexiglass in the jury box. Jury selection is expected to take most, if not all, of today. Judge Jacobs, Boone County Prosecutor Dan Knight, Defense Attorney Scott Rosenblum will be asking potential jurors what they have seen, heard, or read in news media coverage about the case. The attorneys are being told they need to show up by 8:15. Jury selection starting at 9 a.m. sharp this morning, Boone County Circuit Court. Speaking of downtown Columbia, police say multiple shots were fired downtown early Sunday morning. ABC 17's Ben Fine was on scene moments after it happened. He reports the gunfire happened about 3 a.m. on Walnut.
I spoke with police on scene who tell me crews were foot patrolling in the area when they heard multiple shots fired. According to police, 5 to 6 shell casings were found. No one was hit or injured in the shooting, and no property damage was reported.
ABC 17 13's Ben Fine reporting from Walnut Street in downtown Columbia. Anyone with information about the shootings is asked to call Crime Stoppers, and that number is 875-TIPS. No arrests have been made in a separate incident, a Sunday early morning shooting in Columbia. Detectives say a man was shot about 12:30 Sunday morning, the 400 block of North College. The victim suffering non-life-threatening injuries. He drove himself to a local hospital for treatment. Concerns about speeding along Worley Street and the condition of sidewalks in Mizzou's Greektown will be heard by Columbia City Council tonight. Resident Lillian Davis will testify about speeding problems along Worley and a nearby street, Sanford. She tells the Eagle she's concerned about the safety of children due to the speeding. And Mizzou student Alexis Stockwell will address concerns about sidewalks in Greektown. Ms. Stockwell will show photos of accessibility barriers and will request a plan of action for their repair. She tells 93.9 The Eagle she is concerned about sidewalks near Rollins over to Tiger, then to Kentucky. Tonight's meeting will start at 7 o'clock. COU staff hopeful for a quick return of Daily United service to Denver. It was temporarily suspended last year due to the pandemic. Dallas-based American Airlines currently has 5 daily flights out of COU, 3 to Dallas, 2 to Chicago O'Hare. This coming weekend's demolition of the Sorrells overpass along I-70 near Columbia will require overnight lane closures on I-70 as well as rolling roadblocks all weekend. MoDOT is urging you to consider finding an alternative route this coming weekend. They say that the bridge, which was built in 1958, was struck by a truck in mid-October with significant damage. Demolition work will start Friday night, should be done by Monday morning, a week from today. The delays at the bridge will take place all weekend. In the meantime, there is a wrap under the overpass to prevent debris from falling onto vehicles below. And more than 12 million vehicles cross the I-70 Rocheport Bridge west of Columbia every year, including 3.6 million trucks. The aging bridge was built in 1960. Missouri Senator Roy Blunt led the effort to obtain an $81 million federal grant for a new bridge.
If there was ever a project of national significance in terms of highways, that bridge should be part of it. So much of the commerce and trade and travel of our country goes over that bridge both ways every single day.
Groundbreaking ceremony for the new bridge was held in October. MoDOT is planning to have a high-friction surface treatment and pavement sensors to reduce weather-related incidents on that new bridge. Technically, there will be 2 new bridges once that is built. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you live on this Monday morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. For all your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. In sports, all eyes in the NFL on Arrowhead tonight. New York Giants will be traveling to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. 7:15 is the kickoff tonight. Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, national television on ESPN. Mizzou running back Tyler Beatty, 31 carries, 254 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Mizzou beating Vanderbilt Saturday in Nashville, 37-28. Mizzou now 4-4. Their first true road win since 2018. Penalties continue to hurt Mizzou. They were penalized 9 times, 100 yards on Saturday. Houston rallying from a deficit last night. At one point, they were down 4-0. They beat the Braves 9-5, sending the World Series back to Minute Maid Park. Braves still up in the series, 3-2. Game 6 tomorrow night, 7:09 at Minute Maid Park in Houston. And that game will be carried live on Fox Sports with Joe Buck. 93.9 The Eagle Sports brought to you by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:08.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track meteorologist Kevin Schneider. The rain's moving back in to kick off another work week. Showers will be off and on throughout the day, with highs only topping out in the upper 40s this afternoon. And we'll hang on to that chance for some showers tonight, especially early. Lows fall back into the middle 30s, but we'll make up for that cool start on Tuesday. Sunshine returning and highs making a run at 50 degrees. I'm meteorologist Kevin Schneider, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on Hot Talk and Breaking News 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Good to hear your voice again. Our weather is brought to you this hour by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, airserve.com. 42 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit midmohires.com. Find a job. Post your job opening today. Things are quiet right now on the roads in mid-Missouri, at least for right now. We like to see that. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle, broadcasting live from the Zimmer Radio Group World Headquarters. This is Wake Up Columbia.
Wake up, Columbia. It's time to start your day. Wake up, Columbia. Hot Talk is on the way. Wake up, Columbia. To hear the latest news. Wake up, Columbia. To Branden, Rathert, and the Eagle Crew.
Here's the host of the show, Branden Rathert.
Did you get the vaccine? No. Why didn't you get it? What if you catch COVID? The vaccine doesn't stop you from catching COVID. Why are you being so selfish? What if you catch it and give it to me? But you've been vaccinated. Yeah, but you can still give it to me. What's the vaccine for then? It'll stop you from getting really sick and dying if you catch it. So if I catch it and give it to you, but you've already had the vaccine, it'll still stop you from getting really sick and dying. Exactly. That's why you should get it. That's why I should get it, but you got it already. But if you catch it, you could get sick and die. So by not getting the vaccine, the only person I'm putting at risk is myself of getting sick and dying? No, you're putting me at risk. Then you already get the vaccine, so you won't get sick and die, even if I gave it to you. But you could give it to someone who can't be vaccinated. But so could someone who's been vaccinated, because the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting COVID.
I wish somebody would go to Joe. Hey, Joe, you got a minute? I want to play something for you. Here's a very simplistic, very common sense approach to this whole thing. Check this out. And maybe we would do away with the mandates. These are not going well, by the way, nationwide. We're seeing it locally. As a matter of fact, there's a big event coming up Wednesday that we want to turn you on to.
Yeah, so we've been hearing from local 3M employees, and there's a Facebook event, it looks like, saying, calling all Americans against the mandate. Join us to stand up and protect our rights, vaccinated and unvaccinated. They say November 3rd, 7:15 a.m. to 5:15 p.m.
So coming up this Wednesday, all day long. You know, we always talk about being active, doing something, take part, do something. Here's one thing you can do, and they're doing this all day long, 3M in Columbia. You can go and join the folks that are saying, listen, these folks that want to enact these mandates, they're anti-American. They call people like us that are against mandate anti-vaxxers, which is completely inaccurate.
Pro-freedom.
Yeah, we're pro-freedom. Those people, they are anti-American. I've had the vaccination. And it was a long time coming. I mean, I had a lot of conversations, and I share my experience with. I felt like I had cheated on somebody and I don't know why, because I don't think I've ever cheated on anybody in a significant relationship in my life.
Whoa! You think? So there's two things that I want to question.
Yes, dear.
One, you think you haven't.
But
number two. In a significant relationship, what the hell does that mean?
Like a significant relationship, you know?
I don't know.
Like a committed relationship.
Isn't a relationship a commitment?
Well, but the level of commitment, you see, there's different levels of commitment. Like, hey, we're hanging out, or hey, I am committed to you and you only. I'm not committed to these other ones anymore. I'm just committed to you. Because when you're trying to be committed to like 2 or 3 different people at the same time, doesn't go well.
Huh, imagine that, right?
And I'm speaking from experience. Please don't do that. It's a horrible, ugly thing to ever do. But no, I'm serious. I don't think. Well, define the word is. What's the definition of is? To borrow some language from Bill Clinton. Was that the word that he wanted clarification on? Was it is?
I can't remember.
But
it was one word, though. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that. And what would you consider cheating, though? Let's say you are in a committed relationship.
And let's say you lean
in a
over,
relationship.
Let's say you lean over someone's shoulder and smell their hair.
Gee, your hair smells terrific. Unity. Welcome to the show. Are you done with your question? So, yeah, I don't think I've ever cheated. in a significant relationship. I'm pretty sure I haven't. At least in a lot of years. It's probably been like 2 or 3 years since I've done that.
Wow.
So, no, I'm exaggerating a little bit. But I felt like after I got the vaccine, I felt like I had cheated on somebody, which is kind of weird because I don't think I've ever. Okay, maybe I'd be more accurate to say.
You do. I think.
Please don't be mad for what I'm about to say next.
Oh boy.
I don't think I've ever felt guilty for cheating.
What?
Terrible.
You just keep digging a deeper hole for yourself this morning.
I think what you're trying to say is that you felt like you let yourself down.
Yes.
I think people...
Stephanie, through your lifeline.
Yes. Thank you for that life raft.
I think, if you were to ever cheat in a committed relationship, you probably feel guilty and feel like you let yourself down. And I feel like with you with the vaccine, you are a man of principle and you're a man of freedom, right? You have strongly held.
Yes to option B there.
Strongly held, but you have strongly held convictions.
Yeah.
And, you want people to make that choice. But you never said you were anti-vax. You said you were pro people making their own choice. And after doing research, after following the science, after talking to people in your life who did struggle with COVID, you decided personally that was the right choice for you. And so, it was kind of a switch from where you had been. Yeah. And so I don't feel like in that instance you should feel disappointed or like you let yourself down, but I can see where that you might have felt that for a short term.
And I love, because you're right, everything you said is true. And so when I cheated, I would explain myself out of that too, just like you did for me. I'm kidding. But you're right. And I had a lengthy conversation finally with 30 minutes my doctor spent with me. And that's what got me to my decision. But I am also an American. I believe there should not be mandates on this. And please, somebody texted last week, well, what about mandates for, measles, mumps, and rubella when you go to school? And I'll echo what Mike Parsons said. Remember all that stuff? That was legislated. That went through a process, okay? And those were vaccines, by the way, that had gone through some pretty serious studies. So please don't send me any more text about, well, what do you think about that? Because that's my answer to that. Jen Psaki's got the COVID.
What?
Yeah. Despite all those... And here's the thing, because you see as you see a lot of these people, rules for thee but not for me or something like that, they want you to do all this stuff. And we've seen Pelosi, we've seen Kerry, we've seen St. Louis County Executive Sam Page, we've seen all of these people. They want you to wear a mask, do as I say. And how many times have we got these people out in public not taking those same precautions that they want Stephanie to take or that they want Brian to take? They don't do it themselves, and that's reason number one why they're just so full of crap.
So wasn't it last week where Biden was coughing into his hand and then touching a bunch of people? Was it from that? Did they think he...
So here's what they're saying. Here's what they're telling us is that, and she kept 6 feet from the president and all this. And yeah, you remember the president last week, he was coughing into his hand and then shaking hands.
Ooh, gross. God. That was bad pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Yuck.
It was bad pre-COVID. It was just horrible. Meanwhile, Supreme Court, they've denied a request to block Maine's vaccine mandate over religious objections. 6-3. So this whole thing just seems to be a mess. And so here's what's happening in other parts of the country. So we know what's happening in Columbia. Glenn Beck, who's here every day, noon to 2 on 93.9 The Eagle. He was chatting with some of us folks from Columbia here on Monday. Folks from 3M that are saying, listen, we're against the mandate. We're Americans. We're against those mandates, okay? And stop it with your anti-American rhetoric. Stop it. No more mandates. Get rid of these mandates. Stop it. They're getting together on Wednesday, and everybody, including you listening at 6:19 this morning on 93.9 The Eagle, can take part in this all day Wednesday, 3 a.m. Tucson, Arizona, they're having water issues. And it's not because of water. It's because people that work for the water plant are saying, yeah, the mandate, nope, not doing it. Prisons. We're seeing prisons and jail institutions. They're having issues because they're saying, well, if guards got to get you have to get vaccinated. They're saying no. New York City, Looks like they're encountering some serious problems. New York City firefighters taking medical leave. It's causing problems. Be real. Be honest for a minute, man. That's what I would say to these people. Meanwhile, I got some stuff from Biden over the weekend real quick before we move forward. Do want to get into the daily DC rundown because our president is in Europe. Fox is on this. Stephanie has your daily DC rundown coming up in a few minutes. So he's in Europe over the weekend, G20, getting ready to answer questions. We've heard this before.
And now I'm happy to take some questions, and I'm told I should start with AP Zeke Miller. Zeke, you have a question?
I'm told. That is not the first time we've heard that. And almost the exact same words. Remember when he was in Russia earlier this year, meeting with Putin.
I'll take your questions, and as usual, folks, they gave me a list of...
Do what you're told. Welcome into the show. Wake up, Columbia. There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Hannah, the producer, is here.
What up?
That's Brian Hauswirth. My name is Branden Rathert. We are just minutes away from the daily DC rundown. That's coming up 6:25. What's underneath the circus tent this morning, Stephanie?
Well, the number 2 ranking U.S. military officer is sounding alarm bells over China. What has China been up to?
It's some real stuff. We've got that for you at 6:25 on 93.9.
Catch Wake Up Columbia on demand anytime, all the time at 9390eagle.com.
The top U.S. military commander warned that China may have just leapfrogged over the United States in a key new missile technology that could change the future of war.
And that gets us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell on 93.9 The Eagle.
The second highest-ranking U.S. military officer is sounding some alarm bells, and this new weapon, it's called a hypersonic weapon, and it can orbit the Earth before re-entering and then hitting its target. And so what the military is saying is that the design is meant to evade missile defense, that, our own technology, and China's denying it and saying that it was testing a reusable space vehicle, not a missile.
Well, there you have it. I trust everything China tells us. I'm wondering, do you think they'd be continuing to advance and making some of this stuff that becomes public if Joe weren't president? Seriously, we have a bad image on the worldwide stage. And I just think it's one of those things. People don't think long term. Well, this guy's not that guy, so I'm voting for this guy. And there's a lot of regret out there this morning. This China stuff, this can be, I don't want to scare you, but this could be frightening.
Right. And so what they're saying is Beijing has been expanding its nuclear arsenal. It's got these advances in space, cyber and missile technologies. It's, obviously threatening Taiwan. And the general says the pace at which China is moving is stunning, so much so that the Biden administration is doing policy reviews on nuclear weapons, global troop basing, and defense strategy. So we might be seeing some things as a result of those policy reviews, because they're sitting back thinking, now we're on our heels, and they're thinking, we have to do something. And, I think the general's saying it might already be too late. They might have already leapfrogged past us, and now we're on the defense.
And before these policy reviews, they're going to have focus groups and work task force and all those kinds of things.
Should we talk about the this infrastructure and the Green New Deal spending package?
Nope.
Because
you want to,
we could just replay last week's DC rundown, and the one from like a month ago as well. But I will say, I think Nancy's deadline was the end of October, so we blew past that, and the Democrats just continue to fail to get anything done, and they can't even agree in their own party.
I will say this though, I gotta back Nancy Pelosi on this one.
Okay.
She said the end of October. I don't think she said October 2021.
Oh, yeah. Good. Okay, good point. Could be next October. But obviously, the folks that are facing midterm elections want some progress. What that progress is, and of course, how you pay for it, still all up in the air.
I want to get more. We should get into this Virginia race. And I am. You said something last week that you believe this election will be a bellwether of what's going to happen, hopefully, in the midterms 2022 and 2024. And I'm hoping you're right. And I'm starting to feel, I think, more confident. So Fox News, one of the latest polls to come out, shows Youngkin with the lead, for what polls are worth. And Youngkin had been trailing by as many as, I think, 5-7 points a couple of months ago. It kind of closed the gap. Latest poll shows him in a lead. Terry McAuliffe has made a significant change to his campaign. We'll get into that at 7:10.
Yeah, and I know you can't always trust the polls, but what they say you can trust is the trends and by which the polls show. And so what they do show is that, Youngkin really has some momentum, and particularly he has a lot of momentum and is picking up with independents, which is really important, especially given that the election is tomorrow.
And the Washington Post, who you think would be in McAuliffe's back pocket? They nailed him on a 4, one of their fact checks. They do the Pinocchio nose. They gave him 4 Pinocchio noses.
Yikes.
Education is killing him. We'll get into that coming up at 7:10. Coming up, Fox News vax mandates nationwide becoming a big problem for Joe. Fox News has that story here at 6:30. Brian Hauswirth is here. First things first in the Joseph Elledge murder trial, which gets underway today. Then mayoral candidate in Columbia, Barbara Buffaloe, is going to be joining us. We've met Randy Minshew. We've met David Seaman. Have yet to meet Barbara Buffaloe. We get her story coming up at 6:35 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Clouds going to maybe bring us some rain today. Our high 47, rain again tonight. 34 for the low. 50s, sunshine next couple of days. It's 42. Weather's brought to you by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all your heating needs, log on to AIRESCRV.com.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. President Biden's in Scotland, joining other world leaders for United Nations Climate Change Summit.
From the Indian Ocean, the Maldives Environment Minister Aminat Shauna told us her country is beginning to vanish, with shorelines eroding.
We are experiencing things that we thought or we were told would happen towards the end of the century now.
She called climate change an existential threat.
Fox's Simon Owen. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki's not on this trip and says she's tested positive for COVID-19. Her last contact with the president was 6 days ago. Jury selection starts today for the Kyle Rittenhouse murder trial in Wisconsin.
Kyle Rittenhouse is now 18, but he was 17 last year when he showed up in Kenosha from across the state line where he lived in Illinois with a rifle as protesters turned violent. Rittenhouse shot 3 people, killing 2 of them, and is claiming self-defense.
Fox's Evan Brown. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:31:42 here in Columbia. It's 40 degrees in Jefferson City. Cloudy skies, rain likely in the afternoon, our high 47. Tonight, a chance of rain, mostly cloudy, a low near 34. And tomorrow, sunny with a high of 50 degrees. Good morning, and here's some of the stories we're working on for you this hour. News media coverage will be a major discussion item during this morning's jury selection process in a high-profile Columbia murder trial. 26-year-old Joseph Elledge is charged with killing his wife, Mengshi Ji, in October of 2019. The judge in the case, Brooke Jacobs, Boone County prosecutor Dan Knight, and defense attorney Scott Rosenblum will be questioning 125 potential jurors about what they have seen, heard, or read in the news media about the Elledge case. The judge has set 3 weeks aside for this trial. Meantime, in Jefferson City, residents there gathering over the weekend remember the short life of a murdered child.
Little Darnell Gray was first reported missing October 25th, 2018, but the search ended just days later when the little boy's body was discovered. Several of the people who gathered Saturday joined the search for Darnell back in 2018 after his babysitter, Quatavia Givens, reported him missing. Investigators say the 4-year-old suffered multiple injuries by blunt force trauma before he died. Givens eventually confessed to his murder. John Marsh, The Eagle, 93.9.
Columbia police say a man was shot early Sunday morning on the 400 block of North College Avenue. Detectives say the victim was shot at 12:30 in the morning, sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Columbia police also found damage to a residential structure. No arrests have been made. The investigation is ongoing. And Columbia City Council will hear testimony tonight from a resident who is worried about speeding along Worley. Lillian Davis will address the council tonight. She tells 93.9 The Eagle speeding is a problem along Worley and on nearby Sanford. The council will also hear tonight from 2 students. They want the city to repair sidewalks in Mizzou's Greektown. The students will bring photos of what they call accessibility barriers tonight. Those sidewalks include Rollins and another street, Kentucky, in Greektown. We'll have more on their concerns for you coming up this morning at 7:03. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. For all your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:34. In sports, Kansas City Chiefs playing the New York Giants tonight. Monday Night Football at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. We'll kick it off tonight at 7:15. National coverage on ESPN. College football, Mizzou beating Vanderbilt Saturday at Dudley Field 37-28. Mizzou going on the road to take on number 1 Georgia Saturday between the hedges, Sanford Stadium in Athens. That'll be an 11 a.m. kick. And Houston beat the Braves last night 9-5. It sends the World Series back to Minute Maid Park. Braves still lead the series 3-2. Traveling day today, Game 6 tomorrow night, 7:09 at Minute Maid Park in Houston. 93.9 The Eagle Sports is brought to you live by Mid-America Mortgage. MidAmericaMortgage.us. Apply now for a loan on your dream home. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
And our traffic check is with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. You may see a little activity right now, folks, on I-70 at the 123-mile marker here in Columbia. There was a deer vehicle collision about 10 minutes ago. I just talked to Joint Communications. They had called out a number of fire pumps and fire trucks to the scene, but I'm told by dispatchers that car has been basically removed to a nearby Phillips 66. So it's not causing too many problems. You may see a few of the emergency personnel still there. Again, a deer vehicle collision, 123-mile marker, and they have moved the vehicle off to the nearby Phillips 66. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
You know, I love Columbia. I love how the city's grown since I've been here since 1994. We're heading in the wrong direction on several different things, and we're not keeping up with things. Nothing really glamorous, but we have sewer issues, we have trash issues, we have streets that are not repaired.
Issues that I think most of us can agree on. We still need to find out what Chief Jones and CP strategy is going to be to lower the disparity in minority traffic stops.
So we've met mayoral candidates David Seaman and Randy Minshew, and I'll tell you one of the things I am glad to see in the upcoming mayoral election in the spring, we have some chicks in the race, which I think is, I should say, women. I'm just now meeting Barbara Buffaloe. Barbara, welcome into the show. You know I'm kidding, right? You know you get that, right?
Yeah, I was imagining it with an X, so you're good.
Barbara Buffaloe is the next candidate that we are going to meet. She's going to be running for mayor. So we just kind of want to find out who you are. But let me ask you first, what is it that made you want to run as mayor?
Yeah. I think the main thing the reason why I wanted to run for mayor is because, like, as I've been watching, you know, from on the other side of the dais, working for the city for the last decade, you know, I got to see the opportunities that we have for improvement. And I got to see so many times where, like, we just didn't invest in the thing that we needed to that would work for us for long term. And so I was like, well, they need somebody to inspire them to, like, believe in those non-sexy things like infrastructure, and they need to be planning for the future. And so I want to be that person that inspires us to act where we know we need to act and to really bring the community together on getting there.
So you were talking about acting where you know you need to act, and I think lately the council has drawn some criticism about spending a lot of money on studies or reports or committees, and that kind of, you know, at times I think that's important. I think it's also one way for people to kick the can and not make a decision. What is your stance on, you know, when you do that and when you just take action?
Yeah. Well, I think it helps that, you know, I mean, you still do need to have that data. You still need to do that you're making the right judgment with the information you have, but we need to be making those decisions. So, you know, I had the privilege of working on some of the projects that you guys mentioned earlier. So, like, thinking about things like the trash situation, thinking about our sewers and stormwater as we're, like, planning for the future. And I got to see that we became almost like paralyzed with not making the decision. Like, what is that, paralysis by analysis? And it's one of those things that we need to not be making decisions just for our own term of 3-year council, 3-year mayor, but also for, like, the next council, so that they don't have to be the ones dealing with people coming, why aren't you picking up my trash? Why aren't you picking up my recycling? So we need to go with information we have and support the professionals on staff who have looked at the best practices and put out there what they think would work.
Before we get to the next serious question from Brian Hauswirth, I got to ask you, what's your stance on roll carts?
So, all right, here's what I know right now.
Hold on, here we go. Let's start recording. Let's go.
Well, first off, there's nothing before council right now for them to make a decision on, right? So, you know, the initiative petition that went out there saying that we couldn't make any changes to the ordinance about purchasing trash cans on wheels or trucks that can take care of it. So I think there does need to be a discussion at that point to see, like, what does the community want to do? But I will say that, you know, I worked for the city and did a lot of that data analysis where we looked at, okay, we have high employee turnover in residential trash collection. We have high workman's comp numbers in residential trash collection. And we actually have low recycling numbers in residential trash collection. And so what are other cities doing? What are their best practices? And so we put together the numbers and showed, that automated collection is one of the ways to reduce those numbers.
Okay.
And so now it's just put before council is what do we want to do in order to keep operating this service?
All right, Barbara Buffaloe, we found something that you and I agree on. Let me ask you just a yes, yes or no question. Would you like to have a roll cart at your house? All that city stuff and costs. Just as a resident of the city of Columbia, would you like to have a roll cart at your house?
Oh, I have one. I have one, and then I take my bags out of it from my garage to put it at the curb. So it'd be great if I could just keep them in the cart when I take it to the end of the driveway.
Barbara Buffaloe, she is a mayoral candidate, City of Columbia. She's joining us this morning on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle.
Branden, thanks. Ms. Buffaloe, we appreciate your time. 11 years of service as the city's sustainability manager, and you were there until May. I want to talk about an issue that's going to come up tonight, and I know you've talked about you want to focus on non-sexy issues, and this is non-sexy, but it is a very important issue because we always hear about it in the winter. But as you know, Ms. Buffaloe, the council tonight will hear a report about winter weather and about snow plows and what kind of basically service the city is providing. And I'll have some information on how many trucks the city has at 7:03 for folks to hear the specific details. What's your take on that in terms of the city's response to winter storms? Has it been effective enough from your perspective?
Yeah, no, that's a good point to bring up. One of the things that getting to work with our public works employees, I know that they take what they do very seriously. They start planning for their winter weather in the summer. They start thinking about what trucks are they going to need, what are their routes going to be, how are they going to communicate what they're doing with the public. But I would also say that for years, longer than even I was with the city, we also under-resource our city employees. So the professionals in our public works department, they know what they need to do to get done, but they need to make sure that they have those resources to do it. So when we talk about how many trucks they have, they're doing preventative maintenance throughout the year. The fleet operations crew are some of the best professionals in this world. But they also need to make sure that they have the resources both with trucks, with drivers, and also with the ability to communicate what they're doing. So I would want to see just their plan for that. Like, how are they actually resourced enough? And if they're not, what do they need? What do they need council to act on? What do they need the community to do? And ask for it.
You bring up a very good point about the tough work they do. It's very difficult, long hours, 12, sometimes 15-hour shifts, and it's dangerous work because sometimes they get hit by other vehicles, etc. And one follow-up, if I may, Ms. Buffaloe, you bring up the issue of staffing. That actually is going to come up tonight because the council did approve 3 extra positions for the street department. However, and that was as of October. Granted, it's only been a month. Those 3 positions are vacant, and there are 5 other positions in the street department that all could help with snow removal that are vacant, according to the council report that will be read tonight. What can be done to speed the process, maybe quicken the process to get these positions up and running by the time we have a winter storm?
Yeah. So I think, you're putting on a part that the city's not alone in this, right, with our staffing issues right now. Streets Division has empties. We have vacancies in our solid waste department. We have vacancies in finance all the way down to custodial services. So it's not the only thing that's happening in the street department. I would say one thing that that staff needs to know is that they have council support when they are going to propose having a new position. You don't know until, that last meeting in September on whether or not council is really giving you the go-ahead on your budget you're proposing for October 1. When I was with the city, we had a grant where we were going to be able to hire a position. And so what we did first, before we even council approved the grant, we started advertising for that position. And then we started doing the interviews, letting the candidates know that this was contingent on council approval. But at least we started that process early. And I know that Public Works, that they do in our Human Resources Department, they do start some of the processes earlier. But sometimes it seems like council might have, they didn't give you really a nod to say, yes, we are going to support your budget going forward.
All right, Barbara.
Our mayor.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead and finish.
I was going to say one of the things that I've been thinking about is if I'm mayor, I want to start having these discussions in January and in February So by the time it comes around to the budget discussion in like July and August, I have a good feeling for what my departments are going to be asking for, so that I'm not surprised by anything in the budget. I just want to see a little bit more transparency and open.
Let me ask you this, Barbara, before we let you go. If you're elected mayor, will you come on our show on a regular basis, even if we vehemently disagree on stuff?
Of course, because I don't just mayor half the population. We do it for everybody, of course.
And let me ask you this. So now, are you still because you were the sustainability manager for the city, are you still employed by the city?
No. So I left the city at the end of May.
Okay.
Like many people, I'm sure I'm not alone. I have aging parents, and my mom has dementia.
Yeah.
And so I left the city to help take care of my parents. And I can say now, she's thriving. My mom is in a memory care facility. It's great. And so, I just found myself missing all of my civil service that I had been doing for the last decade, and decided, what better thing than to do it without getting paid?
Personally, we have something in common. I lived in Idaho and Florida. I've been gone from Missouri for, 25 years or so. And thought, I'll probably come home. Mom and Dad's getting up there. And I know a lot of folks are saying, hey, there could be some benefit. Some of the inner workings in City Hall and being mayor there might be some benefit working. Do you
knowing how the sausage is made?
Yeah. But let me ask you, do you think there's any hindrances? Could there be any negative aspects in you being mayor in knowing the inner workings and trying to serve all of the citizens of Columbia as mayor?
I was thinking about that, and I didn't leave my position bitter, and I didn't leave with burning bridges with my peers and my coworkers. So I see just benefit from it, because I actually know what the job of the mayor is. I know the difference between being on council and being the city manager and being staff. I respect our form of government, and I also respect the professionals that do the work that council asks them to do. So I think it's important that you have somebody that has that experience and can also respect the professionals that are actually the engineers or those who are licensed to do the work, and that ask them to do that work for you.
All right, Barbara Buffaloe, running for mayor of Columbia. Thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us. Let me ask you, and be honest here. I'm gonna stereotype a couple of things. I'm gonna stereotype you. You probably don't listen to 93.9 The Eagle on a regular basis.
I listen to all the radio shows. My mom was a journalist.
You sound like you're running for office or something. Because sometimes we get folks that stereotype about our radio station.
Crazy.
Yeah, we get a lot of that. People stereotype us, and we've had folks that will come on and say, I was told I probably shouldn't come on your station. I'm in enemy territory. And no, you're not. Let me ask you, just be honest. Did you have any hesitation on coming on this show? Did people, when you told other people, they say, "Oh, you shouldn't do it"?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No. No. But you know what? I work for this city, and so I was used to talking about everything. And you mentioned roll carts. I've been called a lot worse. When I was doing the ward check-ins, talking about automated trash collection. Somebody actually said, "Oh, I think you're just getting some kickbacks from the roll cart company." And I was like, well, I have not received yet on this delivery, but I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Barbara Buffaloe running for mayor and not getting kickbacks from the roll cart company. Thanks for joining us on The Eagle.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Coming up,
Branden Rathert and Wake Up Columbia. Drinking upstream from the herd. 93.9 The Eagle.
If you look back on the last 10 months of the Biden administration, what grade would you give them?
Trump being interviewed on Fox over the weekend, and he's asked, what grade would you give the president? How did the former president, how did Mr. 45 respond? We'll have that coming up a little bit after 7 o'clock. I'll say this. It was as expected, but then Trump surprised me. You kind of heard about what he said. What was your reaction?
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah. We'll do that coming up at 7:10. In this race in Virginia, last night when I said my bedtime prayers, I was thanking for the day and thinking that I was in a position to help other people. And I said, and I hope Stephanie's right about Youngkin in Virginia, and I hope it is a bellwether of things to come in this country.
Well, and if you're like an election nerd, like election day for me feels a lot like Christmas. I get like very like anxious and excited, and I'm like pumped. And I had that feeling about, usually I don't have it on like not, big elections, but about this one, I am amped. I'm excited.
And here's the thing. So here, we're in Missouri. What do we care? But I think that's exactly why we care, that this could indicate, hey, the education thing is burning McAuliffe. And that is universal, whether you're in Columbia, whether you're in Jeff City, whether you're in Virginia. That's universal. We're all parents.
Yeah, and they're saying the polls are showing that education is essentially the number one issue there. And, as someone who's really wanted some education reform over the last, I would say, 8-10 years in Missouri and not gotten it, I'm hoping this shift is not only happening in Virginia, but that, and I think we're seeing that around the nation, that people are waking up and saying education's our number one issue. We've got to do better.
That's Stephanie Bell. There's Hannah, the producer. I am Branden Rathert. Before we get into the announcement of the day, by the way, Fox News coming up 7 o'clock. What's Joe doing today in Europe? They'll have that for you. And then first things first, in the Joseph Elledge murder trial, jury selection starts today. More details, Brian Hauswirth coming up at 7:03. I got to give some kudos to CNN's Jake Tapper. Neil Cavuto on Fox. By the way, he's got like multiple sclerosis, other health issues, very popular host on Fox television. Got some really nasty backlash when he was encouraging people to get vaccinated after he got COVID. Jake Tapper, Neil Cavuto on in the same time slot. What did Jake Tapper have to say about Neil Cavuto after he came back, after he did really get some nasty messages from viewers?
Often mention our competitors, but the Fox channel anchor opposite us from 4 until 5 Eastern, Neil Cavuto, has been in the news, and we just wanted to take a moment to say a couple things about Neil. Neil is a survivor. He has multiple sclerosis here at the lead. We don't often mention our competitors.
So you get the gist of what he was saying. He was giving kudos to a competitor in the same time slot. That in the broadcast industry, it's kind of a big deal when somebody does that. So kudos to Jake this morning. I'm on a roll. I'm trying to play the Dolman of the Day bed, and instead I'm playing the this traffic jam bed. And there are no traffic jams right now. Traffic this morning looking good, and I can't find my Dolman of the Day. And I'm sorry, now it's 2 days in a row. But I will say this. Sorry, Hannah.
What excuse are you about to make? Come on, let's hear it.
I was going to do the story. The mayors of St. Louis and Kansas City doing a press conference on crime and violence. I think it was Feel Good Friday.
Yeah.
And they're doing a press conference together, and what happened?
Oh, shots are ringing out in the middle of it.
Man.
Horrible.
We'll call that the Dolman of the Day here on 93.9 The Eagle.
A climate change conference is about to start in Scotland. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan calls it incredibly important.
For us to get sufficient commitments and sufficient momentum that we are building across the course of this decisive decade.
President Biden is there after the G20 summit of world leaders in Rome, where he was asked about China and Russia skipping the climate talks, not making any commitments.
And there's a reason why people should be disappointed in that. I found it disappointing myself.
Now, the president is still pushing his fellow Democrats in Congress to pass a social spending plan that includes $500 billion in climate initiatives.
The most far-reaching climate bill in U.S. history. The $555 billion plan would invest in electric cars and in clean energy like wind and solar. The White House says the proposal could slash emissions by 1 billion tons by 2030.
Fox's Alex Hogan. There's a hope by Democrats for a vote this week, but the bill's been held up in talks along with infrastructure as all Republicans oppose the massive spending and tax hikes to fund it. It's another frustrating travel day for people trying to fly American Airlines. Fox's Evan Brown explains live.
Dave, so far at least 100 flights have been canceled by American Airlines today after canceling thousands through the weekend. While the airline first blamed the weather for grounded flights, they later admitted in the press they're experiencing a labor shortage, but that more staffers like flight attendants are due back from leave today, and even more will come back to work on December 1st. Americans' problems come after Southwest Airlines was forced to cancel flights for a number of days last week, Dave.
Evan, COVID keeps taking its toll. We've just surpassed 5 million deaths in the pandemic worldwide. In New York City, a COVID vaccine mandate goes into effect today. Municipal workers, including cops and firefighters who haven't gotten a shot, go on unpaid leave. America's listening to Fox News.
Big news from Simply Safe Home Security. Okay. Actually, I think the horns are too much. That's better. Big news. The new wireless outdoor security camera is here. Yes, Simply Safe's award-winning home security just got even better, taking whole home protection to a whole new level. Okay, I'm missing the horns. Simply Safe is celebrating this new camera by offering free shipping for a limited time. Visit simplysafe.com today.
Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year has arrived. Step up your vision with top tech up to 45% off during their early access Black Friday event. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Plus, get incredible savings on Windows 11 PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping. There's also special financing with Dell Business Credit. Get started by contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 7:03 is our time, 42 in Columbia, 40 in Jefferson City. We are expecting rain in the forecast for this afternoon. Our high only 47 degrees. We start to clear out again overnight with the overnight low down into the 40s. Good morning, everyone. This coming weekend's demolition work of the Sorrells overpass over I-70 near Columbia will require rolling roadblocks on I-70 all weekend.
The State Department of Transportation is urging you to find alternate routes. The bridge, which was built in 1958, was struck by a truck in mid-October, causing significant damage. MoDOT says demolition work will start Friday night and will be done by Monday morning, causing delays at the bridge all weekend. Crews have installed wrap under the overpass to prevent debris from falling onto vehicles below. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, Don, thanks. Meantime, 125 potential jurors will be called to the Boone County Courthouse in downtown Columbia this morning as jury selection will be starting in about 2 hours in Joseph Elledge's high-profile murder trial. The 26-year-old Elledge is charged with first-degree murder for the 2019 death of his wife, Mungshi G. Her remains were found in Rockbridge State Park earlier this year. COVID issues are a concern for the judge in the case. Brooke Jacobs, he says says any potential jurors who are sneezing or sick will be turned away this morning at the courthouse door. The county has actually installed plexiglass in the jury box to make sure that they take as many precautions as possible. Jury selection expected to take most, if not all, of today. Judge Jacobs, the Boone County prosecutor Dan Knight, and defense attorney Scott Rosenblum will all be asking potential jurors what they have seen, heard, or read in news media coverage about the case. We'll have more on this for you throughout the day right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Columbia police say multiple shots were fired in downtown Columbia early Sunday morning. ABC 17's Ben Fine was on scene moments after the gunfire happened in downtown Columbia. Says it happened at 3 o'clock in the morning on Walnut.
I spoke with police on scene who tell me crews were foot patrolling in the area when they heard multiple shots fired. According to police, 5 to 6 shell casings were found. No one was hit or injured in the shooting, and no property damage was reported.
That's ABC 17's Ben Fine reporting from Walnut in downtown Columbia. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers 573-875-CHIPS. Concerns about speeding along Worley in Columbia and also about the condition of sidewalks in Mizzou's Greektown will be heard by Columbia City Council tonight. Resident Lillian Davis will testify about speeding problems along Worley and a nearby street, Sanford. Ms. Davis tells 93.9 The Eagle she's concerned about the safety of children due to the speeding. Also, Mizzou student Alexis Stockwell will address concerns about sidewalks in Greektown. She'll be showing photos of accessibility barriers. She wants a plan of action for their repair. She tells 93.9 The Eagle she is concerned about sidewalks near Rollins to Tiger to Kentucky. Tonight's meeting begins at 7 o'clock. Meantime, with winter just around the corner, Columbia City Council will also hear a detailed report tonight about winter weather and snow removal. This was a big part of our discussion just moments ago, a live interview with mayoral candidate Barbara Buffaloe. Columbia Public Works currently maintains more than 1,400 total lane miles. The city has 21 tandem and single axle trucks, 11 one-ton trucks, 3 Class 5 trucks, and a dedicated motor grader. 3 backhoes are also available. Columbia Public Works says during a typical winter storm, 22 to 28 person crews report for duty for 12-hour shifts. And Columbia Regional Airport staff hopeful for the quick return of daily United service to Denver. It was temporarily suspended last year due to the pandemic. Dallas-based American Airlines currently has 5 daily flights out of COU, 3 to Dallas, 2 to Chicago O'Hare. United is offering twice daily service to O'Hare. I spoke to the airport manager, Michael Parks, on Friday. He had some interesting things to say about flights to Charlotte. We'll have that story for you coming up later this morning on Wake Up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by the Candy Factory. The Candy Factory is on Cherry Street in downtown Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 7:07. In sports, Giants, Kansas City playing at Arrowhead tonight. Monday Night Football, ESPN, 7:15, the kickoff in Kansas City, national television. College football, Tyler Beatty in the ballgame Saturday. 31 carries, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mizzou coming from behind. They beat Vanderbilt Saturday, 37-28 at Dudley Field in Nashville. Mizzou 4-4. They'll take on number 1 Georgia Saturday morning between the hedges. Dooley Field, Sanford Stadium in Athens. That'll be an early start, 11 a.m. our time. Pregame on the Central Bank Tiger Radio Network Saturday, 9 a.m. And in the World Series, Houston rallies from behind. They were down at 1.4-0 after a grand slam in Atlanta. They beat the Braves last night, 9-5. World Series heading back to Minute Maid Park. And the Astros are still trailing that series 3-2. Game 6 tomorrow night, 7:09. 93.9 The Eagle Sports is brought to you this hour by the Candy Factory, Cherry Street, downtown Columbia. Our news time, 7:08. Kevin, thanks. Our weather brought to you by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, airserve.com. It's 42.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
7:08, our traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Things are quiet right now on the roads. For those of you just tuning in, we did have a deer vehicle collision on I-70, 123-mile marker, just before the 6:30 newscast. Authorities have been able to help the motorists get that vehicle off the road to a nearby Phillips 66. No serious injuries are reported in that. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or text 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Well, first, I don't have the 8 percentage point lead for Youngkin that Fox News has. I think if you look at the big picture, you can see why nobody is going to be surprised if Youngkin actually wins, Alex. There's no two ways about it. President Biden's ratings have stayed relatively low, even in a state like Virginia that he carried by 10 points. The Democrats on Capitol Hill could not get it together, certainly in time to help Terry McAuliffe.
Famed political consultant / pollster Larry Sabato saying, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised if Youngkin wins. I'm in Columbia this morning at 7-Eleven. I'm hanging out with my bud, Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, Hannah the producer. Why should I care about this race in Virginia?
I think it speaks a lot to the midterms, and I think a lot of people are seeing it as a bellwether, and, the voters are saying education is the number one issue, and the candidates have very differing opinions on education and on the role of parents in education, and I think this is kind of, it's all coming to a head, and we're going to know more, and I think we're going to hear that from Democrats saying, don't be surprised if he wins, this doesn't mean anything, and they're going to kind of temper it because I think it's huge. I mean, what they've said is that no Republican has won statewide office in Virginia since, I think, 2009, 2008, something like that, and then, Biden won the state by 10 points, and so it wasn't even supposed to be an issue. It wasn't even supposed to be close. And so the fact that, a couple weeks ago they started the polls, they had them neck and neck, and now, some of the polls are showing that Youngkin's in the lead. It is a huge deal. And now my only concern is that, if Youngkin actually pulls it off, then I think maybe we wake the Democrats up and light a fire under them to get motivated for the midterms. But I don't know that. Because what we're going to see is I think parents are going to show up and vote, hopefully, against McAuliffe, and I don't know that the Democrats can really walk that back because he was given the opportunity to clarify his comment, and he just stuck with it. He said, "Yeah, I don't think parents should have, a say in what their kids are learning about in school," and he was like, "Yeah, I agree with that."
That's right? Astounding. So
it's like when your boyfriend says something. And you're like, what did you just say?
And you double down.
It's like you're giving them the opportunity to change what they said. And when they don't change what they said, they failed the test.
Honey, do these jeans make my rear end look big? Yes. What did you say? Yes. It's like that. I like the analogy, Hannah. Latest polls, this one just coming out this morning, and this is from a local Fox affiliate in Washington, D.C., that they did with another firm called Insider Advantage, and their polling just released this morning has Youngkin up by 2 points. And I wonder, because again, education. McAuliffe now famous / infamous for these comments during a debate.
I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach.
As a parent, regardless of party affiliation, if let's say that you're a Democrat, liberal, whatever you are this morning, you hear that, and you're a parent, you're getting ready to drive your kids to school, and what is that? And I get it, this is Virginia, but still, is that who you want to be leading your state, even if you're a Democrat and you have kids in school? Glenn Youngkin on education.
I'm standing up for parents. I'm standing up for students. I'm standing up for teachers who ask me every day, Glenn,
Please help us teach our children how to think and stop teaching them what to think. This is a fundamental moment in the Commonwealth of Virginia, but it's a fundamental moment across the whole country.
Friday, I went to the Columbia Pachyderm meeting. Meet every Friday, 11:30 to 1. It's a way you can get involved if you want. You can give me a buzz here. I'll get you more info. We meet every single Friday. And they had a speaker who was a parent who, and I'll say this, the guy was not a gifted speaker. He was nervous. He was awkward. And he said when he got up to give the presentation, and you could tell he's nervous, and he's got handwritten notes, and he says, "This is not my thing, but these are my kids." And what's happening, the way he tells it from the Columbia Public School District, it's astounding what these things that parents are saying. And it is not good. But this guy gave a very good presentation because he's passionate about it. He was speaking from the heart. And afterwards, I even told him, I said, I get it. I don't like public speaking either. I do not like it. I get nervous, and if I can, I'll say I can't do it, but Stephanie Bell would be very glad to do that event for you on, by the way, Wednesday, November 15th. You got a speaking engagement. Kidding. So I told this guy, I said, I get it, man. I don't like public speaking either. I get petrified. I just don't like it. But when this guy got up and spoke, and he's kind of fumbling through his notes and everything, when he got to talking about his kids and his experiences with the Columbia Public School District, it flowed. You know why? Because he's passionate about it. He's passionate about what's happening with his kids. And there are a lot of leaders in education that they're not getting it. It's like they're coming at this thing from a position of power. We're up here, and you'll do what we say. By the way, this thing with that meeting at the Columbia Public School Board 3 weeks ago now, there were a couple of lawmakers at this Boone County Republican meeting on Friday, and we had a conversation about just the legal aspect. And you can go and watch what happened in that meeting. I would highly, and don't take my word for it, go and fact check me by going to the Columbia Public School Board website. Watch that meeting from October the 11th. These people get up and just leave. And what I heard from parents that were at this meeting Friday, what was happening behind the scenes, was even more startling. And it's consistent. But wondering about, and I don't know the legal aspects regarding, when you have a board of elected officials, can you just end the meeting without saying, can you all just... So I don't know. Interesting conversations to be had there. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. That is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Mr. Hauswirth is here.
Good morning, sir.
This is going to get in your way this weekend. But finally, we're getting kind of some resolution on the Sorrells Road overpass.
Yeah, it really is. And that's kind of a big deal that there's going to be rolling roadblocks all weekend, Branden. We know the contract based on the Emery Sapp & Sons receiving the contract, about $1 million contract. They're putting as many personnel out there as they can. They had to wait for the weather, obviously, to cooperate. Do it with the least amount of impact. So it will start on Friday evening. We don't have an exact time as of yet. We should get that later. But approximately it'll start Friday night, and the demolition will take place all weekend. They will have it done. They have to under the contract by next Monday. But rolling roadblocks, and some of those roadblocks will be at 15-minute closures at a time on the interstate. So the best thing MoDOT is urging everyone to do starting Friday night, avoid I-70 at the Sorrells overpass.
So that starts this weekend. And as always, if you're seeing something that's messing up traffic, let us know, 874-9390. There is Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
Thawed out from that Centralia football game Friday. How was that?
I think that was a good game. I was at the California Pintos game.
Yeah, California. How was that?
They won over North Callaway. South Callaway.
It was cold out there?
It was cold.
Yeah, wet.
It wasn't as bad as I was anticipating. It kind of stopped for most of the game and started to mist towards the end. But overall, not too bad.
My name is Branden Rathert. If there's something we can do for you today, 874-9390, 874-9390. I do want to get into President Trump on Fox over the weekend was asked two questions. Well, one question. But he said something about Biden that I was kind of like, wow. And he was asked the question, what grade would you give Biden? I have that coming up. But first, I want to mention this, going back real quickly to the Terry McAuliffe-Glenn Youngkin race in Virginia. That election is tomorrow. And by the way, here tomorrow in town, Really, the only thing we're voting on tomorrow, park sales tax. I reached out. I sent an email to Mike Griggs, director of, and everybody is in support of this, including Columbia Chamber of Commerce, Columbia Board of Realtors. I'm not in favor of this third revenue stream. I'm sure it will pass. But I sent some questions to park directors Mike Griggs. He was in a mule skinners meeting. A Missourian quotes him as saying, all these parks are like mini cities within the cities. We need to do about 2 or 3 playgrounds a year. If we didn't have this funding source for that, we would just have to remove them. Does that sound like? And I emailed him for clarification. First question, Missourian quote you properly. Number 2, did you mean if are we scaring people into voting in favor of this thing? If we don't have the funding source for that, we would just have to remove them.
Well, part of parks and swimming and everything else, and lawyers, liability, right? So if they don't have the money to maintain the parks, then I would think it would become a liability issue. And at that point, they would have to consider removing parks if they're not properly maintained.
And I did kind of acquiesce a little bit in the email. I'm like, I'm guessing it's because of this. Is that what it's about? But then I'm like, okay, if we remove them, costs, things like that, that's tomorrow. Most people, a lot of local. And it's also interesting, too, I noticed specifically with the Missourian, they've done several stories in favor of the park tax. I haven't seen, and maybe I've missed it. I don't catch everything. I haven't seen them talking to, what are you laughing at, huh?
Nothing.
When it comes to media outlets, I typically... I mess up times when guests are supposed to be on at days, but typically I don't mess up local media. But I haven't seen them do any stories on people that are against the sales park tax. And then it occurred to me, it could be because I'm the only one. All right, moving forward, because we got to get into what's hot with Hannah today. So the Virginia race, Terry McAuliffe's big change in his campaign. He's not talking about Trump anymore. That has been his campaign. As we see, whether it's medias or Democrat politicians, well, anti-Trump, Trump's not in office anymore, right? And instead of railing on somebody, tell us what you're going to do. As a matter of fact, it's become a joke on CNN, and this is to Terry McAuliffe's face.
Other issue, you mentioned Donald Trump. I'm glad I have 2 cups here so I can keep drinking when you mention Donald Trump's name. But
people are playing a drinking game because that's what McAuliffe has. Anti-Trump, Trump. People are playing drinking games. Every time he says Trump's name, what do?
You take a drink.
Trump, by the way, Braves game over the weekend.
I love this.
I know. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
He's doing the, with his bad arm, his left arm, or his right arm, kind of his bad arm. He was doing the tomahawk chop. And as he's doing that, let's go Branden. By the way, still #1 downloaded song in the country last week, beating Halloween songs and beating Adele's new one. So I do want to get to what Trump said on Fox over the weekend. He was asked about Biden, and it was an answer that, frankly, it kind of surprised me. We'll have that. We also have What's Hot with Hannah coming up, 7:25.
It's Christmas time. And before you get too upset with me, science says that it could be a good thing to celebrate early. Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
Salter, one call does it all. Right now it is Christmas lights as we get ready for What's Hot with Hannah. And I know, listen, it's the day after Halloween. It's November the 1st. But you need to call Salter because more and more folks every year, they're calling Salter Lawn Service and they're going, you guys put up Christmas lights too? Yeah, that's why we say Salter, one call does it all. It really has to do with your property. Like just about anything that has to do with your property, they can do that. They'll come out. You probably even ask Lance or the crew, the folks there at Salter Lawn Service, like, hey, we just want lights up. And Lush, do you have some ideas? They might be able to do that for you too. They'll come out. They will put them up, and then they will come and take them down. You're going to love that. That's why you should call Salter today. Your one call today. Salter, one call, does it all.
Always certain, sometimes right. This is Branden Rathert and Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
If you look back on the last 10 months of the Biden administration, what grade would you give them?
All right, how did Trump, that's Trump on Fox being asked that question, what grade would you give him? I'll tell you, he gave him an F, obviously. But then he said the thing he said after that, I was like, wow. We'll get into that coming up at 7:35 on 93.9 The Eagle. Right now, 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:28.
Time for What's Hot with Hannah.
I really figured that the Wake Up Columbia family would come for me on Facebook for this. But so far, it hasn't been too bad. Because I posted something about Christmas already, and it's November 1st. But I can feel it happening. I'm getting in the Christmas spirit, even though we're not even through Thanksgiving. And so I did what any sane person would do. I went to the internet to try to find something that backed up my stance on this to make me feel, validated.
Right.
And apparently psychologists say that celebrating and decorating for Christmas early can make you happier.
Sometimes the anticipation is better than the actual event. I think.
And it can increase your dopamine levels because it interrupts your day-to-day routine. But then there's also the nostalgia factor that goes into it. And the psychologists also say that the sparkling lights can make you happier. So why not celebrate longer?
But, and I'm all about feel-good stuff, but I would think that stuff will still apply closer to Thanksgiving. Because here's my issue when we go early with Christmas, is then it gets old the day after Thanksgiving.
No.
It's
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, it's kind of okay, I'm done.
Do we get to decorate the studio? I've never been here for Christmas yet. Can we add some Christmas flair?
We got to decorate the door last year.
Ooh.
Absolutely. As long as when you say we, that means you and...
Not you, Scrooge.
Coming up, I love Christmas.
Cranky old man.
Coming up, Fox News is here. These vax mandates, man, they're not doing well nationwide. It's causing a lot of problems. A lot of folks are saying, we told you this would be an issue. Fox is on this. And we know the exact day when the Sorrells Road overpass is going to start coming down. Brian Hauswirth has that story coming up 7:31. And then Trump, how did he answer that question? Talking about Biden on Fox over the weekend, kind of interesting. ABC 17 storm track forecast. Rain 47 today. Rain continues into tonight. 34 overnight. Sunshine 50 next couple of days. It's 42. Weather brought to you by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. AirServe.com.
News. I'm Chris Foster. A United Nations Climate Change Summit has started in Scotland. President Biden's there with more than 100 other world leaders and thousands of delegates from around 200 countries.
The White House says the president has a strong message to deliver about U.S. leadership on climate change. Over the weekend, he criticized China and Russia, saying they've failed to show up. And while President Biden is attending the Scotland summit, the Chinese and Russian leaders are staying away.
Fox's Simon Owen. It's the last day of campaigning in what looks like a close race for governor in Virginia. Glenn Youngkin's the Republican nominee.
Everywhere we go, people come up to us and say, Glenn, I'm a lifelong Democrat and I'm voting for you everywhere we go.
We're going to go into Election Day with a big lead in the early vote, but I need a big lead. I need it on Election Day.
The Democrats' candidate, Terry McAuliffe, was governor before from 2014 to 18. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 41 our current temperature right now in Columbia. It's 40 degrees in Jefferson City. Our high today only 47, and we will see some rain in the forecast later today. Start to clearing off during the overnight hours. Tomorrow, sunny and a high of 50 degrees. Good morning, and here's some of the stories we're working on for you this morning. News media coverage will be a major discussion item during this morning's jury selection process in a high-profile Columbia murder trial. 26-year-old Joseph Elledge is charged with killing his wife, Mengshi Ji, in October of 2019. Judge Brooke Jacobs, the Boone County prosecutor Dan Knight, tonight. Defense attorney Scott Rosenblum will all question 125 potential jurors today about what they have seen, heard, or read in the news media about Elledge's case. Judge Jacobs has set aside 3 weeks for the trial. He has ruled that jurors will be allowed to take notes in court. An auxiliary room is established at the courthouse to accommodate the large number of reporters expected to cover today's jury selection process. The attorneys have been told to show up at 8:15 this morning at the Boone County Courthouse. The jury selection will start at about 9 o'clock this morning. Should take all, if not even into tomorrow, all of today, possibly into tomorrow as well. Meantime, Columbia police say a man was shot early Sunday morning, the 400 block of North College Avenue. Victim shot about 12:30 in the morning. Non-life-threatening injuries. No arrests have been made. Columbia Regional Airports Director is hopeful daily flights to Charlotte will begin in 2022. COU Director Michael Parks tells 93.9 The Eagle they're continuing discussions with American Airlines about the timing of the Charlotte route. Just before the pandemic started, COU received an $800,000 federal grant for twice daily service to Charlotte. That was a small business air service development program. Columbia City Council has approved the proposed agreement. And Missouri's senior senator says the planned new $240 million I-70 Roachport Bridge project has received the largest competitive grant ever received by MoDOT. U.S. Senator Roy Blunt led the bipartisan effort on Capitol Hill for the federal funding.
We got a substantial amount of all the money that went to the country last in those grants that made that $81 million possible.
That's Senator Roy Blunt speaking there to 93.9 The Eagle. A groundbreaking ceremony was held in October in Roachport. Current bridge was built in 1960. More than 12 million vehicles cross that bridge every year, including 3.6 million trucks. We have more on this story for you at 939theeagle.com. Our news is brought to you this morning live by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. For all your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:34. In sports, physical game, Enterprise Center, Blues, Blackhawks, great tradition, one of the great rivalries really in the National Hockey League. Blues beating the Blackhawks Saturday night 1-0. Some outstanding goaltending in that game on the ice. College football, Tyler Beatty, 31 carries, 254 yards, 2 scores. Mizzou beating Vanderbilt Saturday, 37-28. Mizzou on the road at number 1 Georgia, coming up Saturday morning at 11 a.m. between the hedges, Sanford Stadium in Athens. NFL, Chiefs, New York Giants, I should say. That'll be tonight, 7:15 at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. And the Houston Astros rallying from a 4-0 deficit last night in Atlanta. They beat the Braves 9-5. World Series now heading back to Minute Maid Park. Game 6 tomorrow night, 7:09. Braves still lead the series 3-2. Our sports is brought to you this hour by LaCrosse Lumber, the oldest, most reliable lumber and hardware company in the Midwest since 1873. LaCrosse Lumber, Grindstone in Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Things have been quiet on the roads this morning. We did have a vehicle hit a deer this morning on I-70. And a reminder, especially in November, we start to see more of those deer strikes. The Highway Patrol has been warning about that for several weeks. Deer have been very active. I saw a couple this morning not far from the interstate, so be careful on the roads this morning. No other traffic reports to tell you about right now. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
There you go, Hannah. What's hot with Hannah today? We do it every morning, 7:25-ish, and Hannah has posted a study. He talks about, hey, it's great to put up Christmas stuff early because all that stuff makes you feel good, and I agree with that, but I think the issue is we put it up too early, then almost like by the end of Thanksgiving, it's gone, you know? But folks on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page disagree with me.
Well, I wouldn't say that. There's people that are basically saying, whatever makes you happy, like, go do it.
Somebody even said, and I love this phrase, You do you.
Yep.
I love that. I first heard that from my sister-in-law. So you do you, whatever makes you happy. I love that.
Edie says, my Christmas tree has been up since last week. You do you, Edie.
Welcome into the show where we let you do you. It was funny. By the way, if you get a chance, you're trying to figure out who these Columbia mayoral candidates are. We had Barbara Buffaloe on the show. She used to work within the city, and we know her politics. I'm stereotyping about her, and it was cool, though. We asked her, said, did you have people that told you don't come on that show? Because we've heard that before from guests.
We have.
That are kind of, if we're stereotyping what talk radio is, and if we're stereotyping people that may not think like we do, and we all, by the way, incidentally, have very different mindsets here on the show. We all do not think alike. Stephanie and I, we disagree on the park tax. Hannah and I disagree on everything. That's not true. Politically, we have a lot of the same mindset, but there are some things that we disagree on. Stephanie and Hannah probably disagree on stuff, as does Hauswirth and I disagree on some. So we
have some major generational differences.
There's some of that, too. But you know what? We're a family.
That's right.
We all get along.
Most of the time.
And that's okay. We had Barbara Buffaloe on the show. She was fun to chat with. I like Claire McCaskill. Man, people would get mad whenever Claire would come on the show. She was some of the best interviews we ever did because she would laugh. She got it. She had a sense of realness about herself.
I'll say something else about Claire McCaskill that, again, Brandon, preaching to the choir about what you just said. I covered several town meetings. One of them was in Ashland, Stephanie, a couple of years ago. And she picked these town halls to go to, and a lot of them were in rural areas that voted Republican. And she took all the questions. Now, granted, she had supporters in the audience, but in a lot of these towns, there were a lot. There was one in Moberly, I remember. I want to say it was 2009 or 10. And quite a few of the people that were there were opposed to what especially it was about the Affordable Care Act. But she did do those meetings quite a bit.
Now, it's funny that we bring up Claire McCaskill because I was looking at my Facebook memories this morning, and let's see, 3 years ago is when she tweeted the infamous tweet about missing the white M in the end zone at Mizzou. Do you remember this?
That's right.
Oh, no.
So she said... It was a photo of the construction that was just starting at Faroe Field, and she said, this photo makes me kind of sad. I grew up watching Mizzou games from the rocks. I know it's progress, but still going to be weird at Faroe without the white M. Do you remember this?
Yes.
She had the wrong end zone. She thought that they were tearing down, of course, the end zone with the infamous white M and rocks, and it was the wrong end zone.
They didn't know her front end from her back end.
Hi, this is Claire McCaskill. I don't agree with everything he says, but I sure love him. Brendan Rathert and Wake Up Columbia on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
Man, people would get mad. Remember that?
Yeah, so when she tweeted that, I'm glad I took a screenshot and posted it on Facebook because I get to relive this every year now.
Yeah, I think it's so cool when you can disagree on issues, but you can still have a sense of humor. I sent you guys a tweet last week from a notable Democrat attorney, and we disagree on basically all of the issues.
And it was complimenting you.
Yeah, and it just said, so Chuck Hatfield, we're often on opposite sides or whatever, and it just said, hey, congrats on Wake Up Columbia. And he said, although I must say, I'm a little surprised she doesn't consider Columbia woke enough already. And so I think you can disagree on issues, but you can still be, person to person, be respectful. And I think people who can disagree and still have a sense of humor can be very successful. So I really enjoyed the interview with Barbara Buffaloe. I think it was, I think we learned a lot about her, but in a way that was fun, and you really kind of got her experience, but also understood she's just a person, and she's out there, she's getting involved, right? And that's what we encourage people to do. And I think you can respect that about someone, even if you disagree ultimately on the issues.
And you can get involved coming up Wednesday, 3. And this is something that's happening nationwide. We go to Tucson, Arizona. They're having issues with water supply, not because they're in the desert, not because of water. They're having water supply issues because people are saying, screw you and your mandate. New York, they're having issues with frontline responders because frontline responders in New York City are saying, screw you and your mandate. Jails and prisons, guards are saying, screw you and your mandate. And this is becoming a thing. And we have something coming up Wednesday. And if you're in Fulton, if you're in Jefferson City, if you're in California, Centralia, Sturgeon, Hallsville, wherever you are, I hope you can find time to take part in this event coming up on Wednesday at 3 a.m.
And it's basically all day, right? So it starts at 7 in the morning. It's going till, I think, 5 p.m., 7:15 to 5:15 p.m. They're saying, calling all Americans against the mandate. Join us to stand up and protect our rights, vaccinated and unvaccinated. And it says, come and go as you please. So you don't have to stand out there all day. And I think that's interesting because what we heard from one of the 3M employees, he said, look, I'm vaccinated. Like, but I'm standing up for people's right to make that decision for themselves.
I'm an American. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm an American. You people who want mandates, you are anti-American. Anti-American. There's no way around that. If you're for mandates, you are anti-American. I'm not anti-vaxxer. And that's how everybody's getting labeled. If you don't want the mandates, CNN, MSNBC, a lot of print media, they're throwing that, the anti-vaxxers, that's what they're grouping it. The anti-vaxxers. No, we're not against the vaccine. We're against mandates. It's you. Anti-American. The anti-Americans want this. Anybody who demands mandates, anti-American. 874-9390. Alan, welcome to the show. What's up?
Hey, thanks for having me this morning.
Yeah, what can we do for you?
Well, Brian Hauswirth was talking about how in 2009 he was up in Moberly and Vicky was taking questions, and I remember it vividly because she asked, "Is there anybody in the office, in the audience?"
Alan, hold up just a second. Vicky or Claire McCaskill?
Claire McCaskill. I misspoke.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, she was. Claire McCaskill was in the office, and then she asked, "Is there anybody here that would not vote for her?" And I raised my hand, and she said, "So you get to pull all the questions out of this basket." And so that was my job, is that I'd reach in this basket where everybody had placed their questions and pull them out and read the question, and she answered everybody's questions. And I thought it was a great way of handling the audience and getting everybody's concerns addressed.
I like that. Alan, let me ask you, do you feel like, and my political acuity goes back to probably 1980, however long ago that was, as Hannah does the math.
41 years.
41 years ago. So I will say, and I know everybody says it because when you're in the moment, when you're in it right now, it's easy to say, the political strife. No, I've never seen anything like that. I know that's easy to say. But something as simple as what Claire did at that thing, just a small thing, and it had nothing to do with policy, but it was like, hey, you're not going to vote for me? You can pick the questions. Do you think that would be valuable today? Even just some small things like that. Do you think there would be some benefit to that?
I really do. I felt she earned a lot of respect for me for doing that. I will note that Vicky Hartzler does not do town halls anymore, and she has lost a lot of respect from me because of that. All of her meetings that she goes to and events are all scripted with organizations that have people that are vetted. And Claire McCaskill, she went right there, and it was open to the public, and anybody could come in there. And I felt like the way she handled it was how to handle a rough crowd. And, I just feel like all politicians should have a town hall and allow people to come in there and ask questions. And the way she handled it was very professional. And if the audience stays professional, then they should be able to stay in there. If they're going to be disrespectful, then they just need to leave.
And then after she let you pick the questions, it changed your mind and you voted for her.
I did not. I vote for her.
Alan, thanks for taking time out of your day to be a part of Wake Up Columbia.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. We appreciate you. This is Wake Up Columbia.
Well, and that stands in such contrast to what you played, the audio you played earlier about Biden. I mean, not only does he not open up questions for professional reporters, but he just says, hey, my staff has told me who I am going to call on, and I will only call on those people and only call on them in that order. And so such a stark difference, and I think you can disagree with Claire McCaskill but appreciate the story that Alan shared with us.
And now I'm happy to take some questions, and I'm told I should start.
And I'm told I'm going to start with this guy. That happened over the weekend in Europe, and by the way, not the first time that has happened.
Well, and it projects, cowardice rather than confidence when you feel like you can't, and I think that story about McCaskill, it projects confidence. Look, I'm going to walk into a rough crowd, and I'm going to stand here and answer whatever questions you have to do. And I think, Biden, I mean, again, you say, everyone's watching, the world is watching, and those kinds of things project that I'm not confident enough to face tough questions from, Fox News reporters or whoever is not on the list that day.
As a matter of fact, so the current governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam, is his name. He's at an event. The TV station is there. It's an ABC affiliate. And this is an aide. It's not the governor himself. But they're saying something. They even said prior to this event, they're not answering questions that this TV reporter is asking. Why? Because he doesn't have a good answer. And after the press conference, the guy's like, hey, you said if I have any questions, ask you.
Governor, I would like to ask one question. I want to ask you about Loudoun County. Why are you not allowing us to ask a question? You deliberately didn't allow 7 News to ask a question. Why is that? Can you explain?
Nothing. No answer. And it reminds me, and that's the playbook. Right? It's not just picking on some people. It's that whole mindset on the left, not being accessible, not answering questions they don't want to answer. Northam, Biden, well, I'm just going to call on reporters that I like, that I have been told to call in, and even locally. Carl Scala on the city council. I've sent him several emails. Hey, you said some things about a local state representative. Can you clarify and back that up? Sent him several emails. No response. David Tyson Smith, another local state representative, Democrat. I asked him some questions regarding another local state representative who's elected, and he answered. It was a BS answer, but he couldn't answer the question. As a matter of fact, he pivoted. I said, hey, you're saying these things about this gentleman. Can you provide anything to back that up? His answer was, well, my point was we should be supporting schools. So in other words, he didn't answer the question, but he didn't run away like this.
He's a professionally trained lawyer, right? So he's really good at that kind of stuff. Right?
All right, coming up, I'm for real. I know I keep talking about what Trump said over the weekend on Fox when asked to grade Biden, because it was kind of a surprising answer. We'll have that coming up, 7:53. Better Business Bureau. One of the things they've been doing recently, it's kind of interesting. Once in a while, I see a commercial on the TV for one of these like insurance firms that sells, if you've got a vehicle with X number of miles, you can buy insurance against major engine repairs. So if something seriously goes wrong, you're paying this insurance. If something seriously goes wrong, they pay for it. Now, they are finding some issues. One of the biggest issues that the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau uncovered from some of these insurance plans was that they didn't live up to what they said. The other issue they found, frankly, was with us, the consumer. Reading the fine print in the contracts, what is covered, what is not covered. And that's just some of the things the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau does. Just reminders, pay attention. You can see more on the study as it relates to those mechanical insurance programs on your car by logging on to the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau website, bbb.org.
This is Woke Up Columbia. And not really. Just kidding. 93.9 The Eagle.
LGB. 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 They say LGB everywhere.
Even got Biden in on the action. I want to thank listener Nick for sending that to me. It's another LGB Let's Go Branden version of a song utilizing some AC/DC. Last week, you look at the downloads. Top 10 songs. Now, last week, you had Monster Mash on there. You had Ghostbusters, Thriller, Halloween stuff. Two of the top 5 songs last week, Let's Go Branden songs. Let's Go Branden songs, even knocking out Adele's Easy on Me, which was number 1 for a day or two. If you go to the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page, you can see a picture. D-Sport Graphics hooked us up with a shirt, Let's Go Branden shirt. I've posted a picture with some of the folks there from D-Sport Graphics, and people talking about, hey, yeah, D-Sport is the best, but you can see a picture, and instead of... So this morning I got an email, shirt I ordered like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They're out. I'm just not getting one. They emailed and said, sorry. And I ordered it 3 weeks ago, right after that thing happened.
The demand is too high.
It's not happening. Trump, as a matter of fact, this weekend, Braves game, World Series, this is happening.
Let's go Branden.
He was at the Braves game doing the tomahawk chop. Not a very good chop, by the way. It was his bad arm, but he's doing the chop. And some of the fans there at the World Series doing the Let's Go Branden chants. Trump, over the weekend on Fox, and he was asked, what grade would you give Joe Biden? I think that's pretty easy. We even had a guy by the name of George who works at 3M, was on the show last week, said, yeah, I voted for Biden, and I'm regretting that. I want to get him in to hang out with us for like an hour and talk about, what that's like, knowing you voted for this guy. And I think universally, whether it's CNN, MSNBC, universally the worst start to a presidency in history. I don't think anybody is denying that. I'd love to get this guy on the show. Just come hang out with us for a while. So Trump was asked about the grade. He gave Biden an F. And he said, but not even an F plus, just an F minus. But then he said this.
I wish he'd do well. I love the country more than I love anything. Family, God, country, we have to take care of our country. I would love to see him do well. I don't think there's ever been a greater embarrassment as an administration. And we had everything ready to go. We handed him on a plate, whether it was the border or Afghanistan.
So he says, I want him to do well. But the facts are he's not, and you were set up for success, dude.
Yeah, we were headed in the right direction. What happened?
Hot Talk 93.9, The Eagle. Good morning, 7:58.
What to do about our changing world. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Leaders from around the globe are in Scotland.
We cannot afford to falter in terms of making meaningful progress and building meaningful momentum here.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. President Biden is there, flying in this morning after the G20 summit in Rome. Fox's Simon Owens live in Glasgow.
Dave, opening 2 weeks of climate talks here, the host, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, said humanity had run down the clock on climate change.
If we don't get serious about climate change today, it will be too late for our children to do so tomorrow.
Johnson compared the Earth's position to James Bond at the end of a movie, trying to work out how to defuse a bomb.
Thank you very much, and good luck to all of us. Thank you.
President Biden speaks shortly. The leaders of fellow large emitters, China and Russia, are not here. Dave?
Simon, COVID has now killed 5 million people worldwide. A tally just hit this morning. Today in New York City, any municipal worker who hasn't gotten a COVID vaccine shot goes on unpaid leave. Republican Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis from New York City tells Fox it's closing some fire stations, others at half capacity.
And that will have an impact on public safety.
They'll start to pick a jury today in Wisconsin to put Kyle Rittenhouse on trial, the 18-year-old charged with murder for killing 2 people he claims in self-defense during a riot last year over police violence in Kenosha.
He told a reporter that night before the shooting that he was there to help protect people and businesses. Rittenhouse was a police youth cadet at the time, and he was also carrying a medical kit that night. Prosecutors say Rittenhouse is a violent vigilante.
Fox's Eben Brown. American Airlines having more trouble today, grounding another 260-plus flights in a continued domino effect from days of canceling over 1,000 flights. Americans blame bad weather and staff shortages. America's listening to Fox News.
Hear that? That's the sound of a man guarding his home around the clock. Because he has 24/7 professional monitoring from Simply Safe Home Security. With 24/7 professional monitoring, Simply Safe keeps watch night and day. If there's trouble, Simply Safe alerts them and will dispatch emergency help when needed. Protect your home and your sleep. Take 30% off a new system at simplysafe.com today.
Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year has arrived. Step up your vision with top tech up to 45% off during their early access Black Friday event. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Plus, get incredible savings on Windows 11 PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping. There's also special financing with Dell Business Credit. Get started by contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 41 right now in Columbia. It's 39 in Jefferson City. Certainly cool conditions. We're expecting rain this afternoon. Our high only 47. Then cloudy skies tonight with the overnight low around 34 degrees. Good morning, everyone. In this 8 o'clock hour, Jefferson Cityans gathering over the weekend to remember the short life of a murdered child.
Little Darnell Gray was first reported missing October 25th, 2018, but the search ended just days later when the little boy's body was discovered. Several of the people who gathered Saturday joined the search for Darnell back in 2018 after his babysitter, Quatavia Givens, reported him missing. Investigators say the 4-year-old suffered multiple injuries by blunt force trauma before he died. Givens eventually confessed to his murder. John Marsh, The Eagle, 93.9.
All right, John, thanks. Meantime, 125 potential jurors are on their way as we speak this morning, heading to the Boone County Courthouse in Columbia for jury selection. They are required to show up by 9 o'clock this morning. Jury selection beginning in Joseph Elledge's murder trial. The 26-year-old Elledge is charged with first-degree murder for the 2019 death of his wife, Mengshi Ji. Her remains were found in Rockbridge State Park earlier this year. Now, COVID is issues are the primary concern right now for the judge, Brooke Jacobs, at least today with the jury selection. He has a lot of questions as well about media coverage that jurors have seen. He says any potential jurors who are sneezing or are sick will be turned away this morning at the courthouse door. The county has installed plexiglass in the jury box. Jury selection is expected to take almost all, if not all, of today. Judge Jacobs, Boone County Prosecutor Dan Knight, and defense attorney Scott Rosenblum will all be asking potential jurors what they have seen, heard, or read in news media coverage about the case. The attorneys, Mr. Rosenblum and Mr. Knight, are required to be there by 8:15 this morning. Jury selection is scheduled to start at 9 a.m. Columbia police say multiple shots were fired in downtown Columbia early Sunday morning. ABC 17's Ben Fine on scene at 3 o'clock in the morning. Walnut Street, I should say.
I spoke with police on scene who tell me crews were foot patrolling in the area when they heard multiple shots fired. According to police, 5 to 6 shell casings were found. No one was hit or injured in the shooting, and no property damage was reported.
That's ABC 17's Ben Fine reporting from Walnut in downtown Columbia. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers 875-TIPS. Columbia police also are asking for your help in solving the shooting that happened Sunday morning in the 400 block of North College. A man shot about 12:30 Sunday morning. He suffered non-life-threatening injuries and drove himself to a local hospital. If you have any information, Columbia Crime Stoppers 573-875-TIPS. Concerns about speeding along Worley and about the conditions of sidewalks in Mizzou's Greektown will be heard by Columbia City Council tonight. Resident Lillian Davis will testify about speeding problems along Worley and a nearby street, Sanford. She tells 93.9 The Eagle she is worried about the safety of children due to the speeding. Mizzou student Alexis Stockwell will be addressing concerns about sidewalks in Greektown. She will show photos of accessibility barriers and will request a plan of action for their repair. She tells 93.9 The Eagle she's worried about the sidewalks from Rollins to Tiger to Kentucky. Tonight's meeting at 7 o'clock. There'll also be a detailed discussion about winter weather and snow removal. Columbia Public Works currently maintains more than 1,400 total lane miles. The city has 21 tandem and single-axle trucks, 11 one-ton trucks, and 3 Class 5 trucks as well. And COU staff hopeful for the quick return of daily United service to Denver. It was temporarily suspended last year due to the pandemic. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you live on this Monday morning by the Callaway Bank. The Callaway Bank is with you for the moments that matter. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:07. In sports, Monday Night Football. Every time I think of Monday Night Football, I think of Howard Cosell and Dandy Don on ABC. They're not around anymore, but we will have it on national TV. It's on ESPN now. The Giants in Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium, 7:15. We kick it off tonight. Again, national television on ABC. College football, Mizzou beating Vanderbilt Saturday. Dudley Field in Nashville, 37-28. Mizzou now 4-4. They'll play at number 1 Georgia on Saturday morning between the hedges. That will be an 11 a.m. kick in Athens. Baseball, the World Series. The Astros were down 4-0 at one point last night after a grand slam. They rally, beat the Braves 9-5. World Series heading back to Minute Maid Park. Game 6 tomorrow night, 7:09 is the first pitch. And the Braves still lead the series 3-2. 93.9 The Eagle Sports, brought to you by Woods Basement Systems, the most reviewed contractor for all things with your basement. 800-388-9326, free estimate. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:08. Kevin, thank you. Great work as always this morning. Our weather brought to you by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. For all your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 41 in Columbia.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Things are quiet right now on the roads. However, as always, if you do see a traffic issue, certainly give us a call or a text as well if you have time. We'll have another update for you coming your way at the bottom of the hour and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
If this continues, we will look back and be responsible for the dismantling of the greatest country in the world by reverting to teaching hate and that race is a determining factor on where your destiny lies. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And of course, we're hearing things like this all across the country. And I would attribute, I'm anxious to get the opinion of our next guest, Scott Williams. Scott Williams was head school for Christian Fellowship School for 25 years, stepped away in 2020, but continues to be on the board. He has been involved with the Children's Education Alliance of Missouri. There's an event they are putting on coming up not this Thursday, next Thursday at the Ark. And this guy has been involved in this school choice legislation, but we're hearing that this critical race stuff, and we're being told lies even by local school boards. You know, the whole dust up between Chuck Basie and school superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood. No, there's no CRT stuff. Well, you have local teachers that are getting money to look into that stuff. We see what's happening in the hallways. And it is not just CRT. I'll tell you, I think this is almost becoming more of an overriding issue. I had an opportunity just on Friday, and I try to talk to parents as much as I can, whether it's face-to-face or through the metaverse. Are they changing the name of Facebook to Meta? They are going to change, but it'll still be Facebook. That's not going to change. The name of the social media will still be Facebook.
Correct.
So it's kind of like Google. They're owned by, what, Alphabet Soup or something? Correct. We still call it Google. Okay, just making sure. But I try to talk to parents, whether it's via Facebook or in person. Friday, I had the opportunity to talk to several parents, and I think one of the, maybe even more so than CRT, is communication. Communication. When you have a school board meeting that's just shut down, that's frustrating. When you have school board members that won't respond, these are elected folks, by the way, that are not responding to emails. And I'm not saying all of them are ignoring every single email, but what I'm telling you is what I'm hearing from parents. The frustration seems to be growing regarding communication and listening. I want to bring in our guest, Scott Williams. Would you agree with some of that sentiment from what you're hearing from local parents? Are you hearing some of these same stories?
Well, are you hearing me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is certainly true. I think the pandemic and the way public schools had to respond to that, or the way they did respond to it, caused a lot of parents to look at other alternatives. But over many years, parents have sought alternatives to just the school that was assigned to them because of their geography. And they were very limited on what those choices could be, usually because of income.
So let me ask you this. So what are other issues? So we've got CRT. I think another thing is it's communication, it's school officials, whether it's administration. I'm talking generally, not just with the Columbia Public School District, but generally. I'm seeing, and I get it, when you're at a meeting as a parent, and if you start yelling and stuff, yeah, they're going to shut you down, and you deserve that. That's the way it should be. But like we saw at the Columbia Public School District board meeting, October the 11th, they shut the meeting down, and Dr. Helen Wade told this woman she was being derogatory. I promise you the woman was not. You can watch the meeting for yourself. I think it's school officials, they're not listening to parents. Stephanie has young kids in school. I had a kid in school, and man, when something goes on with my kid, look out, man. I'm a papa bear. And his mom was a mama bear long before Sarah Palin ever made that term really cool.
Yeah, and for me as a parent, I've been a big school choice advocate, and for me it was test scores. I lived in a neighborhood that I thought and people said was a nice neighborhood, and I started doing the research, and I found out that the school district that I was in, the elementary school, had failing scores for reading and math. And I said, so my options were 1, move, or 2, pay out of pocket an unreasonable amount of money with no, for what I thought was going to be free. And so I think the new program helps parents who are stuck, like I was stuck, get their kids into a school, and they can use the ESA, I think, to help defray some of those costs.
Scott Williams is joining us here on the show. We're talking about school choice, and do want to get into more of school choice. This big event coming up next Thursday, November the 11th. Quickly, another issue or two that parents are really starting to latch on to besides critical race theory, besides teaching kids that they're bad or good, even based on the color of their skin. That is happening. And school officials not taking concerns seriously. Any other big one or two issues right now with parents?
Well, I think that every parent knows that their child, they know their child. They know the way their child learns. And when they are just assigned to a school, no matter how good that school is, there could be a social group there that their child is drawn towards that is really not helping that child in regard to their education motivation. Or there could be maybe just a teacher issue or something like that. And the parent knows that even the best of schools may not be the best school for their child. And so what other option do they have? And with these ESAs, these empowerment scholarship accounts that are going to be established due to this new legislation will allow at least some parents the option of looking at other school choices, whether it be a private school, homeschool, charter, in some areas of Missouri, charter schools, or even in some areas of Missouri, moving out of their own, letting their child go to a school outside of their own district and receiving monies to help pay for that.
So is the idea, can you talk about the and explain it to me like I am 2 years old, Mr. Williams, how it works? Because here's what I gather. Listen, I'm paying, even me, no kids in the school district, I'm paying taxes for the schools. Now, if I am a parent and I have a kid in the school, I'm paying taxes. And can't I use those taxes that I'm paying? Can't I use that to send them to any school in the district? Is it kind of the... Am I way off base?
It doesn't work like that. No, it doesn't work like that. Yeah. No, the ESA program is being funded through a tax credit program. And so individuals and corporations can contribute to an ESA organization that is an empowerment scholarship organization. And those have yet to be established. The state treasurer's office is going to be setting this up, but they'll be setting up these organizations, and you can contribute to that organization and receive 100% tax credit up to 50% of your tax liability. Hope that makes sense. And then people can apply to those organizations for scholarships for some other kind of school alternative to meet educational expenses. Now, there are some other qualifications as to who can apply.
Sure.
So if your child currently is receiving an IEP, that is an individual education plan, they qualify to apply for a scholarship. If your household income is up to 200% of the free and reduced lunch eligibility level, and for a family of four, that would be about $90,000, I believe, of annual income, you could apply. Now, there's another caveat, is that your student either has to have been in public school the year before, or they need to be entering kindergarten or first grade.
So there's a lot of nuts and bolts there. Are these some of the things that are going to be covered on Thursday, November the 11th at the Arc?
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Good deal.
And now, it's also, this applies only to families who live in either urban counties such as St. Charles County or Jackson County, or communities of over.
But for parents here in Columbia, we want to make sure we're attending this thing November the 11th at the Arc. Scott Williams, longtime principal, Christian Fellowship for 25 years, still on the board, has been working with legislators regarding this, regarding school choice. CEAM, Children's Education Alliance of Missouri, next Thursday, November the 11th, having an informational meeting at the Arc. If you want more info, you can log on to showmeschooloptions.org, showmeschooloptions.org. Scott, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us here and help parents here in mid-Missouri. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, coming up, we're going to be doing the Morning Bell Business News with that little twist
that only Stephanie Bell can do for you. What do you have for us today?
I know sometimes the fact that our technology is spying on us freaks us out, but is there a use for that would actually help us?
All right, that'll be interesting.
Moving forward with Branden Rathert and Wake Up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle.
He's just a hack. He's just an absolute hack. He gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. And just, he's terrible. He's just terrible. And he sees one opportunity and he takes it. But obviously.
Man, Denny Hamlin getting all manly and masculine on Alex Bowman, a couple of NASCAR drivers. I'm not into NASCAR. Watching a bunch of cars go in circles over and over is not my idea of a good time. I know a lot of people dig it. But I did go and watch the clips. These two guys, it's kind of like you kids behave. Like, so that, Rubbin is racing, right? They get into it in the race. But then, like, when the race is over, they both somehow get together and they, like, face each other.
Whoa.
And then, like, square up. Now, I'm thinking they're going to play a game of chicken. They don't, but they're, like, battling. Like peeing on the fire hydrant. Sees whose is bigger. And you know who cares about whose is bigger? Nobody. But it's crazy footage. If you get a chance, seriously, look it up. Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman going at it there. 93.9 The Eagle. This is Wake Up Columbia. By the way, Josh Hawley giving a speech, I guess, over the weekend talking about masculinity, and he's taking some fire on Twitter over it. I think maybe one of the things we can talk about tomorrow. What is masculinity? What does it mean to be a manly man? We'll do that. One of the things we'll do for you tomorrow here on 93.9 The Eagle. All right, now it's 8:26, time for the Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell. That business news with a little twist that only Stephanie Bell can get you.
So we know our phones spy on us, right? And some of the things are not helpful. But now the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Apple wants to use your iPhone to detect whether or not you've been in a car crash. And then it would like auto dial 911 for you. And so it's apparently they've already been kind of watching your phone data and, seeing if they can figure out when you've had an impact or whatever. But I worry about, is this like how accurate is it? And do you want your phone to auto dial 911? I don't know, right?
I think back, first thing I think of when my brother and I were younger, when we were kids, we growed up, we was poor and broke. So for entertainment, we'd take turns putting each other in the dryer, and we'd turn the dryer on. But I'm thinking nowadays.
What? So
you could fact check it with Henry Rathert.
I don't think so. So your watch already, if you have an Apple Watch, you can turn on fall detection, and I think it's hilarious. But for like hikers and stuff, if you're out by yourself and you have a bad fall, so mine's only gone off once, and you get this notification. It says it looks like you've taken a hard fall, and it gives you the option to call an emergency line, or you can click I'm okay. Now, only one time have I set this off. And it was one of those days where one of those giant flies was like buzzing around in my office, and I was having a fit because I was trying to think, and this fly just would not let me alone. And so I finally got really close, and I took my arm up and I tried to slap the fly as hard as I could. And my watch goes, it looks like you've taken a hard fall. And that's the only time I've ever set it off. But now they're kind of using that technology and trying to, so even if you don't have a watch, it would be technology within your phone that I guess if your phone takes a hard fall or a hard impact, it would just auto dial.
And I think, have they already come out with like a little sounder? Let's say like if you've fallen.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Are you guys familiar with this? You know it was a thing?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Back before I think both of you were born. Okay, just making sure. Ain't mansplaining. I just want to make sure you guys were familiar with the whole, since it took place before either of you were born. That's why I'm checking. I don't like the dirty look. Are you mansplaining? No. Just making sure you're all
You're
aware.
boomer-splaining.
Boomer-splaining.
Yes. Okay.
Nah. In case you all weren't aware of that. Coming up just a few minutes from now, coming up here at 8:30, Fox News is here. These vax mandates and Biden, really, this stuff, it's not going well all across the country. There are water shortages in Tucson and it's not because of the water, it's because people aren't showing up to work because they're saying no to the mandate. New York City, they're having an issue with frontline responders, prisons, jails. They have guards not showing up because of the mandate. This is a real issue Fox is on. That what's Joe doing in Europe, and then Brian Hauswirth is here. We know the exact day when the Swirls Road overpass is going to be coming down. He has that coming up for you here at 8:31 on 93.9 The Eagle. Good morning. It's Wake Up Columbia.
Weather checks brought to you by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all of your cooling needs, log on to AIRESERV.com. It's 40 degrees.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. President Biden's in Scotland for the start of a United Nations Climate Change Summit. He's there with more than 100 other world leaders and thousands of delegates from around the world.
Some are issuing stark warnings.
If we go business as usual, countries like the Maldives will be uninhabitable.
Shauna Aminat, the Environment Minister of the Maldives in the Indian Ocean, told us President Biden should lead on climate, even if other big countries like China don't follow.
Fox's Simon Owen. Jury selection starts today at the Kyle Rittenhouse murder trial in Wisconsin. He shot and killed 3 people during protests in Kenosha last year.
He told a reporter that night before the shooting that he was there to help protect people and businesses. Rittenhouse was a police youth cadet at the time, and he was also carrying a medical kit that night. Prosecutors say Rittenhouse is a violent vigilante, and the killings were unlawful.
Fox's Evan Brown. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:41 right now in Columbia. Sun is trying to peek out right now in mid-Missouri, and we're expecting a high today of around 47. Rain is likely later today, and then into tonight we'll be facing cloudy skies with the overnight low around 34. Sunshine tomorrow with a high of 50 degrees. Here are some of the stories we're working on this morning. News media coverage will be a major discussion item during this morning's jury selection process in a high-profile Columbia murder trial. Joseph Elledge is charged with killing his wife, Mengshi Ji, in October of 2019. Jury selection will be starting here in about 28 minutes at the Boone County Courthouse in downtown Columbia. Judge Brooke Jacobs, Boone County Prosecutor Dan Knight, and the defense attorney Scott Rosenblum will be questioning about 125 potential jurors about what they have seen, heard, or read in the news media about the case. The judge has set aside 3 weeks for the trial. He has also ruled that jurors will be allowed to take notes in court. An auxiliary room has been established at the courthouse to accommodate the large number of reporters expected to cover today's jury selection. Lots of story angles here. There is the COVID angle. There's the angle about the issue of how long this will take. The trial itself, I have a complete preview of the trial up on our website. Just posted that, 939theeagle.com. Columbia police say a man was shot early Sunday morning, 400 block of North College Avenue. Detectives say the victim was shot about 12:30 this morning. He's 12:30 yesterday morning. He sustained non-life-threatening injuries. There was also damage to a residential structure. Columbia Regional Airports Director is hopeful that daily flights to Charlotte will begin in 2022. COU Director Michael Parks tells 93.9 The Eagle they are continuing discussions with American Airlines about the timing of the Charlotte route. And MoDOT is urging you to take alternative routes this coming weekend when demolition will be taking place on the Sorrells Overpass. That's just west of Columbia.
The State Department of Transportation is urging you to find alternate routes. The bridge, which was built in 1958, was struck by a truck in mid-October, causing significant damage. MoDOT says demolition work will start Friday night and will be done by Monday morning, causing delays at the bridge all weekend. Crews have installed wrap under the overpass to prevent debris from falling onto vehicles below. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
Don, thank you. Appreciate that. And our news is brought to you live this morning by Hemi Construction. Hemi Construction, homes and lots in the southwest neighborhoods of Chapel Hill Meadows, Nursery Heights, and Creek's Edge. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:34. In sports, Blues beat the Blackhawks Saturday night. Enterprise Center, very physical game. Great goaltending on both teams. Blues win it 1-0. NFL, the Chiefs in action tonight at home at Arrowhead. Monday Night Football. Their opponent, the New York Giants out of the NFC. College football, Mizzou beating Vanderbilt on Saturday 37-28. It's Mizzou's first true road win since 2018. Mizzou and number 1 Georgia on Saturday morning, 11 o'clock coming up, and that game will be in Athens, Sanford Stadium. They call that Between the Hedges. And the Houston Astros rallying from a 4-0 deficit last night at Atlanta. They beat the Braves 9-5. The World Series heading back to Minute Maid Park. Braves still lead the series 3-2. Game 6 tomorrow night, 7:09. Our sports also brought to you this hour by Hemi Construction. Our news time, 8:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check. MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. It's been a quiet morning on the roads. You heard Don Luzader there reporting the demolition on the I-70 Sorrells overpass will start Friday evening. They're talking about rolling roadblocks, 15-minute closures at a time. Major problems expected on the road. So just avoid that area starting Friday night all weekend, if at all possible. Things have been quiet this morning. If you do want to report a traffic issue, our number is 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
This Turkey Day, you may be paying more, and a variety of issues from climate change.
That's why you can't find no turkeys. Climate change. We know that there's two. If you cannot find, if you don't have a good answer, it's climate change or it's racism, and that's why you can't find turkeys because of race, not because of racism. Because of climate change.
So there's no turkeys. I remember a couple of years ago where there was like the pumpkin shortage and you couldn't get pureed pumpkin. Have we gotten over that?
Yeah. God, how'd you ever survive the great pumpkin puree shortage of 2017? I do remember that. Now, I will say I was in a grocery store yesterday. It was kind of wiped out. I haven't been, because usually I get quick stuff when I'm eating at somebody else's house, like bottled water.
Huh.
Yeah. There was a lot of soups were gone. I figured that's a college kid thing. No kidding. I mean, I found everything I needed, but it was kind of slimmer pickings.
Why do you think that college kids are eating soup?
Because they can't get turkeys because of climate change.
Oh.
Why are they eating soup?
I don't think they are eating soup. That's why I'm asking you.
You don't think they're eating ramen noodles?
Well, yeah, ramen noodles, but
that's not really soup.
I wouldn't call that soup.
Okay.
But I wonder, how much of it is due to, like trucking shortages, like labor shortages versus just that product shortage versus not having people in the store, enough workers to just stock the shelves. So I think, it's probably a combination of all three. But, obviously for different products, different issues.
And we've got a post on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page, a couple of interesting ones I want to direct your attention to. There's one T-shirt from T-Sport Graphics, Let's Go Branden T-shirt, T-Sport Graphics, man, which is really cool. I ordered my shirt like 4 weeks ago, and they said even at the time, it's going to be 3 weeks. They sent me an email saying, we're out, we're sorry, here's your money back, we just don't have any more. The other interesting thing is Hannah's posted something in What's Hot with Hannah regarding starting the holidays early.
Psychologists have said that people who decorate for Christmas early tend to be happier overall. So I am using that to justify me being in the Christmas spirit on November 1st.
And we've got listeners that are on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page that are saying, somebody's already had their tree up for a bit.
Edie said, I put my tree up last week. And I think another listener said, you know what? You do you.
Yeah. If that makes you happy, you do it. And I feel pretty good because I still have my 4th of July stuff up. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do me. Welcome into the show. That is Stephanie Pell.
Good morning.
Mr. Hauswirth is here.
Good morning, sir.
How was your weekend?
It was busy. Had football, a lot of football on Saturday, and had a little bit of a health issue yesterday we talked about, and I'm very thankful for the folks at Mizzou Quick Care for an ear issue, getting me in so quickly, and I feel so much better today. You and I talked yesterday in the newsroom, and I was hurting a little bit, feeling much better today. Thank you to the doctors over there.
Thank you, because we need Mr. Hauswirth to hear.
Exactly.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yes.
Listen, I could lose a leg in a skiing accident, and I'd be fine. But if I can't hear...
Yeah.
You already can't hear very well.
Good point. There's Hannah, the producer. How was your weekend?
It was good.
Any highlights?
I got to watch the California Pintos win the first round of district football Friday night, and I got to go to a birthday party for a 3-year-old on Saturday.
All right.
Man, Christmas and birthday parties for young ones. That's hot. I like it. Do we know how Centralia football did over the weekend? Anybody
They
know?
won against Montgomery.
Good.
Yep.
So our man Earl Shannon still gets to broadcast games.
Yes.
Excited for him. Stephanie, any highlights?
I did walked in the 5K Monster Dash in Ashland on Saturday morning, and then I went over to the mansion for the Governor the Parson Family Fall Festival. Lots of friends of Wake Up Columbia there, obviously. Ran into some of our local reps, and huge turnout for that event, which was really exciting to see. So many people out and about.
Now, Stephanie, you were worried about how your kids' Halloween costumes were going to hold up after the long weekend of trick-or-treating. How did that go?
Yeah, they were looking pretty rough last night, I'm not going to lie. My daughter had like a white dress. You know, they wear it all day at school, then they ran a 5K in it, then they wore it to the mansion. And so by Sunday, there were definitely some stains. The bottom was like a little tattered. We were looking a little bit rough.
So the kids ran the 5K in their outfit?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I hate to say this because I did it all the time. You get those clumsy Halloween outfits and you run into the next house. Get some kidding how many times you face planted in the middle of Blossom Street in South St. Louis because your outfit got in the way.
Oh, yeah. And so my son's costume was the Macho Man Randy Savage. So he was in red leather and like cheetah print from like the Slim Jim commercials. But he has this like huge fringe hanging down on his arm. And he was like, this fringe keeps getting caught on stuff.
Oh, yeah. Did he follow up everything all weekend with, oh, yeah.
It was hilarious. And I mean, I don't even know when he was popular, but people that are our age thought the costume was awesome, right? Yeah, and my son's obsessed with the WWE.
I think that costume, I got to see, awesome. I got to see Drew in that costume, and I thought it was pretty cool because, like, I was like, even if you don't know who Macho Man Randy Savage, I think it was back in the 80s.
It would have been about 85. I actually have his action figure at home. I'll try.
Oh, Drew will be so excited to learn that.
I gotta find it, but I do.
Hold up.
I have him. I have.
Hannah, can we stop this show? I was going to do some audio of what Joe Biden said this weekend in Europe.
This is better. This is better.
Let me get this out of the way. Here's what Biden said in Europe over the weekend. He was being asked some questions.
I'll take your questions, and as usual, folks, they gave me a list.
Oh, who are we supposed to call on? All right, so you have action figures.
Yes, I have a lot of stuff from my Star Wars figures and stuff. And my mother, this was about 85. I'd say 85, 84, 85, maybe 86. Wrestling figures came out. They were very, very popular. Don't remember much after that. Hulk Hogan was obviously at the top, but I have Hulk Hogan. They're in a box somewhere. But Randy Macho Man Savage, I think he's. It's really great. It was a neat toy, and I know if it's still in the box, it's in good shape. I took really good care of it. I think I even have a ring. I bought my mother for birthday one time. Got me the ring.
Did you use it, or did you save that stuff? Thinking, hey, years down the road, this might be worth some money.
I remember playing with it, but like I said, it's been a number of years ago. I don't know how much money something like that would be, but I want it, and I've let my nephews over the years play with it as well, and they took very good care of it. But yes, those were neat. And as I recall, they were like $5 a piece. The figures.
Aaron on text 874-9390. He's like, wow, Mr. Hauswirth. He's liking it. Have you priced any of these figurines recently?
No, I haven't, and I don't think I would want to get rid of those. I think I would want to keep. I think they're kind of nostalgic, kind of like Star Wars figures and stuff. So
did you ever see the movie? And I'm bringing this up because one of the things with this guy in the movie, it was a movie starring Steve Carell. Mm-hmm. He had action figures, and people would ride him all action figures. A lot of money.
Yep.
Have you ever? And it was the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin. Have you ever seen that movie?
I have not, but I've heard of it. Yes, I've heard of it. But yes, the figures, and I know some people have sold that, but kind of nostalgic. But I didn't realize until Stephanie just mentioned it. I saw the picture, your tweet. I didn't realize that was him, but your son looked awesome, and that brings back a lot of memories because Macho Man did come to St. Louis for sure back in the early to mid 80s. As I recall, it was at the Checker Dome. They used to have wrestling there, but yeah, Randy Macho Man Savage.
There's an event in January, the Royal Rumble, I guess. So the WWE will be back in Missouri in January. So that's pretty cool. And I guess there's a whole host of people in Missouri politics who are completely obsessed with the WWE, which I'm learning.
Yeah.
But
isn't there a secret club?
I don't know that it's a secret club, but a lot of people pay attention.
Yeah, I don't get to follow it as much. And I don't know that it's as big as it used to be. I know at that time that was kind of, I thought, the peak. But it's still popular, I'm sure. I still see it on TV occasionally.
Do you know what I have in my basement?
Water?
No. No.
Call Wood's
Knock on
Basement
wood.
Systems.
No. A whole lot of Beanie Babies.
Really? Go on.
So I think my sister and like my collected them, and so they're like in cases, and my mom's like, I got to get rid of these, and I'm like, I guess. And my sister moved, so somehow I ended up with all of these Beanie Babies, and you know how much they're worth? Like people thought they were going to be worth like so much money. They're worth like $-. Like they're zero.
Wow. Like you still owe somebody some money for that Beanie Baby. I want to get to this too because I want to continue. I've got some prices here on what you might be able to sell your Macho Man Randy Savage, but I got to do some newsy kind of stuff too. Remember January 20th?
Requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy. Unity, 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 unity.
Somebody is finally practicing unity, and it's Trump. What he said over the weekend. Trump was practicing what Joe said. Unity. How much do you think one of your Macho Man, and here's, I find this is interesting, Beanie Babies, dolls, but if it's these things for boys, they're action figures. They're not dolls. They're action figures.
Action figures. And I want to say, and they were really popular. I'd say about mid-'80s to late 80s they were popular.
Right.
I'm going to guess $30, something like that. I could be.
WWE Macho Man Randy Savage, $195. Wow. Yeah. Now, does that change your viewpoint on the sentimental aspect?
I can't see that figure from here, and I don't know if that is the same one. It's a little hard to see from here. Now, there very well may have been more than one. But either way, no, I wouldn't sell what I have. I would keep that. It's too nostalgic. So
$500.
I don't think so.
Come on, we got a price.
I don't think so. I've got to run to a
An eye on the nation, an eagle eye on mid-Missouri. Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. 93.9 The Eagle.
Requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy. Unity, 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 unity. Unity.
And if we've been looking at what's happened since January the 20th, who is the party not of unity really right now? I mean, honestly.
The Democrats, they can't even agree amongst themselves.
So somebody finally practicing, I guess, a little bit of unity, really. Trump was on Fox News over the weekend and was asked, said, hey, how is Biden doing? And here's some of what Trump had to say.
You look back on the last...
Well, that's not it. That's the question he was asked. Bear with me just before we get into Car Santa here. He said he wants him to do well.
Yeah,
that's what he said. He said, I want him to do well.
I'm rooting for him. And I think that's consistent with what you've said about respect for the office of the president, and also consistent with Trump. You know, Trump is such a, America first, pro-America person. And so I think if you're a true patriot, if you believe in America, regardless of who's in that office, you want our president to do well because you want our country to do well.
Yeah. Maybe this is it.
I wish he'd do well. I love the country more than I love anything.
So finally, can we get a round of applause and nominate Trump for winner of the week? Finally, some unity. Welcome into the show. That is Stephanie Bell. I'm Branden Rathert, Hannah, the producer, Brian Hauswirth, who I'm loving Brian Hauswirth, man. We learn something new about him every single day. Today, we learned he has some old 80s and 90s. They're not wrestling dolls.
They're action figures.
Action figures. I love that about this guy. Car Santa is joining us on the show now. Car Santa, welcome in. How was your weekend?
It was good. Branden, how are you guys today?
I think we're all doing good. I think everybody had a really good weekend. We're in a good mood because we've gone from Halloween to Christmas season now. And I know it's a busy time, but are you doing anything special for Monday Night Football tonight for the Chiefs?
No. I'm just hoping that they're going to put on a little better performance than they have last time. But we're rooting for them.
I'm with you. I was talking to a lot of folks after Mizzou. They pick up a win over Vanderbilt over the weekend, and it's one of those, hey, a win is a win is a win. You got to take the positive, and you got to find the positive sometimes in the negative. But like with Mizzou's win over the weekend over Vanderbilt, it's kind of like, yeah, we won, but man. All right. And, of course, the mission of Cars4Heroes. You can get involved with this, by the way. Go to the website, Cars4Heroes.org. For well over 20 years, almost 25 years now, Car Santa has been helping veterans, heroes, frontline responders, people that need some transportation. Been doing this for a long time. We've helped people here in mid-Missouri. You can donate vehicles. You can donate money. Sometimes we get these vehicles and we can get them running, licensed, but it takes a little bit of money. And we're always wanting to find the next person that we might be able to help. Who do you have for us this morning, Car Santa?
Well, I got Tim had sent in an application. He served one tour in Iraq in the Army. And he wrote, I'm a single father of 4. I'm currently rated 100% disabled through the VA. And I've been working very hard to get through school and get my kids through school and begin full-time work as best I can with my limitations. Having a vehicle would allow me to get my kids where they need to go and get there on time and get myself where I need to go, especially to the VA. Sometimes it's just that simple, and we have are giving away 13 of them in Kansas City on Veterans Day, and I'm talking to Galen. We're going to have a couple surprises in Columbia that we're going to help a couple veterans. So if you know somebody in need, be sure to put their application in because we're going to give them away on Veterans Day.
And it's Cars4Heroes. Who do you consider a hero? Who do you know has spent their life maybe serving or helping other people? And listen, things happen. For whatever reason, they're in a spot where they could use just some transportation, just, really anything. And that's what we do with this Cars4Heroes program here on 93.9 The Eagle. We're just trying to help folks. And more often than not, and Car Santa will back me up on this, when we chat after we've given somebody some transportation to help them, more often than not, we ask them, what's the first thing you're going to do now that you have transportation? What do they say, Car Santa?
Well,
they're going to go help somebody else.
Yeah, they typically do. And the other response is when I tell them I'm considering them, they say, well, I think there's probably somebody else that needs it worse than me. And I'm a pretty good judge where those people need to be helped. But thanks to Galen and Galen's Auto Body out there, we still got cars going in, fixing them. So we're looking for people to help.
It's cool that people are responding to that. Car Santa, Cars4Heroes.org. Gary Nolan Show, my dad's favorite talk show, coming up right about 9 o'clock here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Tomorrow here on the show, Christopher Arps, Missouri-based political consultant. Sounds like Garrett Greitens in another dust-up. Plus, more on that 3M rally/protest. See ya.
Bye.